Okay, so I think the last yeah. किसके अंदर uh, ये मुश्किल है कमेंट करना बिकॉज कॉस्ट पुश इन्फ्लेशन का मतलब है जब तुम्हारे कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बढ़ जाए उसकी वजह से जो प्राइस बढ़े मनरेगा की वजह से कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बढ़ता है या नहीं ये ज़रूरी नहीं है क्योंकि रूरल प्रोडक्शन उतना कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटरी नहीं है टू इंडियन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग तो आई थिंक इसके ऊपर हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि उसकी वजह से ये होगा ही ठीक है ग्राम पंचायत लेवल पे हाँ ओके so last thing you wrote was PDS so we'll begin from there when we talk about public distribution system this was introduced in India in 1965 you know this public distribution system so actually it was like this government established Food Corporation of India this was in 1965 and FCI was responsible to procure food grains from farmers and this was done through agricultural markets. I will teach you about the APMC markets when I am teaching you agriculture, but for the time being you just keep it as that the Food Corporation of India was responsible to procure food grains from the farmers. So they will purchase it from the farmers and store it in its godowns. The procured food was released to the market through fair price shops established under public distribution system. This became the mechanism that Food Corporation of India was established by the government 1965 and Food Corporation of India was responsible to procure food grain from farmers. So they will do it through APMC markets kind of. They will set the price. That was what was called minimum support price. Purchase it from the farmers, store it in the godown and then every year release it to the market through what was called the ration shop or more officially the fair price shops by which people were entitled to take food grains at a cheaper rate from the PDS. So public distribution system became that method starting 1965-1966. Gradually the government started increasing the scope of it. So by 1970s, apart from food grains, they started bringing in clothes and sugar and edible oil in the PDS. All right, so I'm taking you into that. You change the paragraph and write by 1976 PDS also included other essentials like sugar, clothes, edible oil, sugar, clothes, edible oil, etc. After a full stop again, the beneficiaries were identified. The beneficiaries were identified by issuing ration card. The beneficiaries were identified by issuing ration card and distributing a restricted amount of food grain. Restricted means up to 5 kg, up to 3 kg per person, like that. So a restricted amount of food grain to each beneficiary. And then, we saw a lot of leakages happening, that people who would be above poverty and doing well for themselves would become the larger beneficiaries, and those who actually needed the support and were much below poverty were not able to get as much. So it went on. Now we started reforms after 1991. And in 1997, we started a reform in PDS because of the high leakages we saw. In fact, I'll give you an instance there. In 1988, N.T. Ramarao was the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and he brought in a rule. He said that we will give rice at 1 rupee per kg to those who are below poverty line. And when he announced this, then the proportion of people below poverty line in Andhra Pradesh was around 38%. After the announcement, when the ration cards were made to identify people below poverty line, 79% population was identified as that. So that is where how leakages would happen, that people would misreport, show themselves to be not there. So what was done then in 1997, and then it was implemented from 98, the government introduced a system called targeted PDS. And they made a rule in it. They said that if you are below poverty line, then you will have to pay half of the minimum support price that we give to the farmers. कि जो भी सरकार farmers को price देते हैं, उसका आधा देना पड़ेगा उनको जो below poverty line है. Alright, those who are below poverty line have to pay half of the MSP given by the government to the farmers. And those who are above poverty line will have to pay the MSP given to the farmers. कि जो भी farmers को MSP मिलेगा, वही आपको above poverty line वालों को पैसे देने होंगे. It was a good idea, and unfortunately we left it back, because when you link consumer price to MSP, then it is a better idea of balancing between the farmer and the consumer. Otherwise what happens is, we pay the farmers a very less amount, a very high amount at times, and we take a very less amount from consumers, and that increases the food bill for the government. And that has a large impact on the budget then. And then many people benefit from it who ideally should not have been benefiting from the scheme. As I teach you National Food Security Act, I'll make myself clearer. But that is the challenge we are facing in India today, that there are too many beneficiaries who ideally should not have been the beneficiaries, but they are. And the cost of purchase is very high, because from the farmers they purchase at MSP and procurement price, and that means that the food bill budget of India has been very high in the last 5-6 years, and that's some mismanagement we are going through right now. So this was a good idea in 98, that you link it to MSP. जो पैसा आप farmer को देते हैं, वो उसके हिसाब से consumers pay कर दें. And in the year 2000, one more thing was introduced that was called Antyodaya Yojana. So very poor families, and that was about the bottom 50% among the poverty line. So the very poor families were promised that you will get 35 kg of food grain per family free of cost every month. Alright, that assuming a family of 5 people, and they said 7 kg of food grain per family, and 35 kg of food grain will be given free of cost per family per month. Alright, to the Antyodaya families. So this is how it was changed in 97, 98, 2000. Two major things were there: free food only for Antyodaya, that is very poor family, Apart from that, those who will purchase food, the food price will be linked to the price government gave to the farmers. All right, that was a reform that we were bringing in. Also, while issuing the ration card, verification was now actually 3 steps. So you had to verify at the Gram Panchayat level, district level, and then the state level. That was the idea, was to make sure that there is less leakage, and above poverty line people don't report themselves as below poverty line. So I'm taking you into that. You write below this, change the paragraph. Government introduced, yes. So see, MSP is normally fixed. I'll teach you MSP when I'm teaching you agriculture. But minimum support price, the idea is that when the market is giving a very low price to you and you are unable to recover your cost, then the government will fix a price such that you are at least able to recover your cost as a farmer. Unfortunately, we have changed its meaning in the last, again, 15, 20 years. We changed the meaning. By that I mean that now MSP is fixed quite high, almost 50% above the cost by our system, and that becomes a cause of food inflation. You know, and I will be, when I teach you agriculture, I will be discussing with you the topic of food inflation and why India is experiencing food inflation to that extent. But there are reasons for it. One reason is high MSP that we promise. I mean, imagine if the minimum support price to the farmers increases by 10% every year, say for a second, then there is no rocket science in saying that I have a food inflation of 10%. You see that, because every price will then rise by 10%. And then add to that the problem of not having enough processing facility and not having enough storage facility. Combine that with the problem of lack of agricultural market connectivity, too many traders in between. So all that is our food inflation is not because of shortage of food. Our food inflation is because of mismanagement of food and inability to change the ground realities, mainly because of protests that come from Punjab and Haryana because of the vested interests that lie there. You know, keep it in mind like that. I mean, look at the farm protests. I mean, you won't see them going beyond Punjab and Haryana. You would hardly see a farm protest for MSP and legalizing MSP and all when it comes to, say, a Jharkhand or a Bihar or an Assam or a Maharashtra or a Tamil Nadu. I mean, farmers are everywhere in India. But I'll tell you the economics of it, that why do you see such farm protests from Punjab and Haryana, and what is the ecosystem built? But the real challenge is that MSP should have been or should be rather a distress point. जब आप मार्केट से अपना खर्चा नहीं निकाल पा रहे और मार्केट आपको बहुत कम पैसे दे रही है, तो एमएसपी होना चाहिए. लेकिन आप सोचिए हमारे देश में भी क्या हो रहा है, हर साल एमएसपी होती है. तो यही पे सबसे बड़ा एनोमली है दैट एमएसपी तो हर साल होने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. मिनिमम सपोर्ट देने की किसान को कब जरूरत है, जब मार्केट उनका खर्चा निकाल के ना दे सके. बट इफ द मार्केट कैन पे फॉर व्हाट दे आर प्रोड्यूसिंग, व्हाई शुड. एंड देन आप सोचिए, अखबार में आप पढ़ते होंगे ये सब, कॉस्ट प्लस 50% to the farmers. दो सवाल होते हैं मेरे इसमें हमेशा, और एग्रीकल्चर पढ़ाते हुए आपको और क्लियर करूंगा. But think of it, which business in this world, apart from selling hashish and marijuana, promises you a 50% return? तुम ड्रग्स बेच के ये प्रॉफिट अर्न कर सकते हो कि तुम अगर ब्राउन शुगर बेचो, अफीम बेचो, हशीश बेचो, तो 50% का प्रॉफिट या 100% का प्रॉफिट कमा सकते हो. चावल पे 50% प्रॉफिट कहां मिलेगा? Which system will give you that? हमारे किसान बोलते हैं चावल पे 50% दीजिए, आप फूल उगाइए, फल उगाइए, सब्जी उगाइए, आपको मिलेगा प्रॉफिट. कुछ नहीं तो ऑयल सीड्स उगाइए. एडिबल ऑयल हमें इंपोर्ट करना पड़ता है यूक्रेन से और इंडोनेशिया से, आप एडिबल ऑयल उगाइए. और कुछ नहीं कर सकते, दाल उगाइए कम से कम. लेकिन 100 मिलियन टन राइस उगाएंगे. अब कोई भी चीज अगर 100 मिलियन टन ग्रो होगी, India में 130 million ton is the rice production, while India's requirement of rice is never 75 million ton and more than that. If you are producing 50 million ton extra, and then in the knee-jerk reaction the government restricts the export also, then who will pay you more for something which is in abundance? So that culture we have created in agriculture, and which is the problem that we face in India, that then farmers are suffering. Again I repeat, because Punjab and Haryana are used to it, they keep the entire country to ransom the farmers, especially the big farmers over there. And that is my first point. Now imagine the second point. 50% above your cost of production. What is the incentive in this for me to reduce my cost of production? Why will I be efficient? I would rather be wasteful, no? Because the more wastage I do, higher is my cost of production and higher money you will pay to me. And believe me, there is no rocket science in it. Many people in India understand it. There are many like me who have been writing about this for last 10 years in public domain, 15 years in public domain. But the problem, I'll repeat again, is A, certain people in Punjab and Haryana gain a lot from it, so they don't let it change. But more importantly, B, many in India don't understand agriculture, have no clue about it, but will be willing to talk about it, thinking that I'm talking pro-farmer. मैंने अपने एक दोस्त के साथ ये मजाक किया था, एक्चुअली मेरे वाइफ के ज़्यादा अच्छे दोस्त हैं वो, एक दिन आके बोल रहे थे किसानों की ऐसी दिक्कत है, वैसी दिक्कत है, ये होना चाहिए, वैसा होना चाहिए. तो मेरे गांव से गेहूं धान आता रहता है, तो मैं अपने किचन में गया, एक मुट्ठी में गेहूं लिया, एक में धान, उनके सामने जाके खड़ा हुआ, बोला पहचानो इसमें पैडी क्या है और वीट क्या है, रिकॉग्नाइज, फिर बात करेंगे किसानों की. But first you recognize which one is paddy, which one is wheat grain, and then we will get to know that how much about agriculture that you are liable to comment upon. It's very easy to sit on your armchair and comment about agriculture. जैसे अभी हमारे ऑपोजिशन में है राहुल गांधी जी हैं, वो बोलते हैं कि मैं एमएसपी लीगलाइज कर दूंगा. कर दीजिए लीगलाइज. हमने शुगर केन में फेयर एंड रेम्यूनरेटिव प्राइस लीगलाइज कर रखा है, बट उसका फायदा किसान को कहाँ मिला? मैं आपको क्विकली ये बता देता हूँ. Suppose if the government says MSP is legalized, that means government says that nobody can buy at a price below MSP. Fair enough, sounds great that everybody will have to pay the MSP. But now imagine if the market is willing to pay 20 rupees and MSP is 22 rupees, then the market will not purchase that. Out of 230 million tons of wheat and rice produced in India, slightly more than that actually, government purchases not even half of it. So the rest half is always procured by the market, and that is when the situation is that government says that we will purchase any wheat and any rice that you bring to us. But still not even 50% is purchased by the government. Now imagine if the price is 19 or 20 rupees per kg in the market, government fixes an MSP 22, 23 rupees per kg. So market is not buying it because it is low, and government cannot buy it because they don't have the capacity. What does the farmer do? And now you know what will happen in real world? Some traders will tell the farmers, okay, look, it's very difficult in the market and we can't purchase it openly because it will be, I can't pay you 22, and if I purchase below that, it will be illegal. So okay, do one thing, maybe what you can do is I can pay you 17 or 18 because the amount of bribe has to be given to government officers. So the farmer could have got a 19-20 if MSP was not a legalized thing. The farmer will now get 16-17, and there will be two vested interests in it. The trader who will exploit the farmer and the government officer who will take bribe out of the situation. But you need to do some research on what has happened in sugarcane. In sugarcane, we tried doing the same thing. We said that the farmers will sell the sugarcane to the mill. The mill owner will pay the FRP to the farmer fixed by the government, and the government will compensate the mill owner. And the government will compensate the mill owner, and then the mill owner will pay to the farmer. Now the challenge has been that government has been unable to compensate the mill owners to the extent required. So in the two major sugar growing states of India, sugarcane I mean, Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra, the dues for farmers in Uttar Pradesh are around 7,000 crore rupees, and in Maharashtra it is 3,500 crore rupees. In spite of government giving more money in the last 3-4 years, agar 5 saal pehle chala jao, then the dues in Uttar Pradesh were 14,000 crore rupees, and in Maharashtra were 8,000 crore rupees. Where are you paying them FRP? So something being done on paper is so easy to show, no? कागज पे सब कुछ ठीक कर दीजिए और प्रैक्टिस में लोगों के ट्रबल और बढ़ा दीजिए. ये कागज पे तो आपका ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस कंप्यूटर इशू करता है ना. प्रैक्टिस में हम सबको पता है ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस कैसे बनता है. तो ये जब तक हम इसको चेंज नहीं करें, इसको सुधारे नहीं, तब तक. लेकिन राहुल गांधी जी ये बोलते हैं, मुझे आश्चर्य नहीं होता. आई एम ऑनेस्टली टेलिंग यू, ही इज नॉट अ ग्रास रूट लीडर. He has never been to the grassroots. He doesn't know how agriculture functions, and I suspect he is one of those people about wheat and rice. You know, I always suspect that he wouldn't know the difference between wheat and rice. But at least there are people around him who are better off, who are expected to know better and should have been suggesting him better. You can be power hungry. आप कह सकते हैं, आप सारे promises कर लीजिए, मैं 1 लाख रुपया दे दूंगा, MSP लीगलाइज कर दूंगा, 30 लाख सरकार का पोस्ट भर दूंगा. साथ में एक ऑल्टरनेटिव दीजिए, आपका सोर्स ऑफ रेवेन्यू क्या होगा जिससे आप ये सब करेंगे, ताकि आपके डेफिसिट इतने ना बढ़ जाए कि इंडिया को एक और इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस देखना पड़े। ये चर्चा ही नहीं करते। दैट इज द चैलेंज यू हैव। मैं इनहेरिटेंस टैक्स लगाऊंगा, पहले क्लियर तो कीजिए किसके पास कौन सी जमीन है जो अगला इनहेरिट करेगा। वो क्लैरिटी ही नहीं है। लोग वापस अपना पैसा शेयर मार्केट से निकाल के गोल्ड में लगाने लगेंगे, और मैं अपने बच्चे को 50 किलो गोल्ड इनहेरिट करने को दे दूं, कैसे पता चलेगा उसने क्या इनहेरिट किया? कैसे टैक्स लगाएंगे आप? वी आर नॉट अमेरिका, वी आर नॉट फ्रांस, वी आर नॉट जर्मनी वेयर एवरीथिंग इज इन वाइट। वी आर इंडिया, मैसिवली ब्लैक। रियल एस्टेट में ट्रांजैक्शंस होते हैं आज भी। आप दिल्ली जैसे शहर को ले लीजिए, 2/3 पैसा तो लोग कैश मांगते हैं कि अगर 2 करोड़ का घर है तो आप 1.5 करोड़ रुपए कैश में दे दीजिए, 50 लाख की रजिस्ट्री कर लेंगे। और मैं मान नहीं सकता हूं कि हमारे नेताओं को यह बात पता नहीं है। Can't believe that. So we talk nonsense when we talk about, inheritance tax, and when we talk about wealth tax. Well, count the wealth first. Which tax are you talking about? We will give 1 lakh rupee to women in the bottom 20%. Do the census first to find out who is the bottom 20% and try checking it out on your own. That itself will take 3-4 years. Next elections will come, and then you will give a new promise. Oh, once it is all completed, then pakka we will do it. Maybe on the eve of elections, you will give some lollipop to people to begin with. That is my resistance, if you ask me, to the political class doing all these unnecessary promises. That is the challenge that you would observe. तो MSP भी वैसा ही एक challenge system है कि ये जितना आप किसान की हालत MSP से नहीं सुधार सकते। अगर आपको किसान की हालत सुधारनी है तो आप एग्रीकल्चर में रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट कीजिए, किसान को पढ़ाइए, एजुकेट कीजिए, उनको अच्छा इरिगेशन सिस्टम दीजिए ताकि मॉनसून पे डिपेंडेंस कम हो, उनके फर्टिलाइजर यूज को कम करिए बाय एजुकेटिंग देम अबाउट द सॉइल दैट दे आर यूजिंग, allow them to grow correct agroclimatic crop, give them marketing opportunity for their crop, especially the high value crop like fruits, vegetables, flowers, etc. Give them cold storage facility, give them insurance facility, all that is more needed to improve the plight of the farmers, rather than give them proper credit facility so that they are not dependent on money lenders. ये करने की जरूरत है किसान के लिए, rather than saying, और सबसे पहले तो अर्बन कंज्यूमर्स को सिखाइए कि पैसा ज्यादा देना पड़ेगा अगर आप चाहते हैं किसानों को ज्यादा मदद मिले। We as urban consumers are heavily hypocritical. अपनी गाड़ी पे लिख लेंगे I am a farmer, लेकिन जैसे ही दाम बढ़ेगा एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्ट का, हम बोलते हैं अरे इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ रहा है, दाम बढ़ रहा है, कैसी सरकार है? कैसी सरकार है? आप अगर गेहूं खरीदेंगे 20 रुपए पर केजी किसान से, तो आटा कैसे 40 रुपए से कम में मिलेगा भाई? It's a very normal logical thought process. I'm buying wheat grain at 20 rupees. I'll be selling wheat flour at least 40. There is cost of purchase, then transportation, storage, milling, threshing, packaging it in the sacks, bringing it back to the market, and then selling it from wholesaler to the retailer, then to the consumer. No? So how come a 20 rupees wheat grain will sell at a 25 rupees wheat flour? ये चमत्कार कौन कर सकता है? हमारी सरकार। बट किसके कॉस्ट पे? हमारे ही कॉस्ट पे, क्योंकि हम ही से टैक्स लेते हैं, हम ही से हमारे ही डेवलपमेंट वर्क सफर करते हैं, और हमें लगता है वाह क्या चमत्कार हो रहा है कि 20 रुपए का गेहूं और 25 रुपए का आटा। मैं एक एग्जाम्पल की तरह बोल रहा हूं, बट व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक यू रियलाइज एंड अंडरस्टैंड इज दैट इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर हैज इट्स ओन इश्यूज, एंड लेट मी टीच यू एग्रीकल्चर। आई गिव यू 4 full classes on that. We'll discuss it, but unless we don't call these things out, and if we keep talking 1980s language, we are in deep trouble. This whole talk of subsidizing, MSP legalizing is very 1980s kind of a language. We may have done that in 1980s. आप सोच के देखिए, Punjab grows one of the highest rice in India, but why do they have to do it? Punjab's water table is declining. Excessive use of fertilizer is salinating its soil. The farmers are suffering themselves. Cancerous growth हो रहा है pesticides के grow करने की वजह से, तो पंजाब ही सफर कर रहा है। तो क्यों इतना राइस हमें ग्रो करने की जरूरत है? सोचने वाली बातें ये हैं, जब हम खाते भी नहीं उसे, मैं फिर रिपीट करूंगा, 130 million tons of rice is what we produce annual basis, and India never consumes more than 75 million tons of rice. The total export of rice from India, which was the highest last year we had banned some rice export, but which was highest last to last year, was 21 million tons. तो अगर 75 मिलियन टन्स में 91 मिलियन टन्स ऐड भी कर दूं तो 96 मिलियन टन्स होता है. चलिए मान लें 20 मिलियन टन भी कोई एक्स्ट्रा कंज्यूम कर लेंगे, 116 मिलियन टन्स होता है, तो भी हमारे पास 14 मिलियन टन्स एक्स्ट्रा हैं कंपेयर टू व्हाट इज द मैसिवली मैक्सिमम दैट आई कैन काउंट. 14 मिलियन टन इज 14,000 crore kg. Why are we producing it? That should be the question. पर अब देखिएगा हमारे अखबार शुरू हो जाते हैं, एल नीनो आ रहा है, राइस की कमी हो जाएगी, वीट की कमी हो जाएगी, दिक्कत बढ़ जाएगा, इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ जाएगा. हमारे बाबू साहब जो सेक्रेटेरिएट में बैठे होते हैं, आप भी बनने वाले हैं, वो इन डिटेल्स में जाते नहीं, तो वो कहते हैं बैन कर दो एक्सपोर्ट इमीडिएटली. और फिर जब महाराष्ट्र में इलेक्शन आने वाला हो तो 6 दिन पहले एक्सपोर्ट अलाउ कर दो कि वहां के अनियन प्रोड्यूसर्स गुस्सा ना हो. ऐसे थोड़ी पॉलिसी बनती है. Policy has to be consistent. That what am I thinking? What do I want to do? हम एक्सपोर्ट बैन कर देते हैं, कभी इंपोर्ट अलाउ कर देते हैं, कभी कहते हैं ज्यादा प्रोड्यूस कर दो, कभी कहते हैं अभी इलेक्शन आ रहा है अभी ये काम कर दो, इलेक्शन चला गया वापस चले जाओ. You can't make policies like that. That is the real problem of Indian agriculture, that we see that our farmers are not getting a correct domain. एक रिसर्च मैंने किया था पंजाब, हरियाणा और वेस्टर्न उत्तर प्रदेश में, 4-5 साल हो गए, कोविड के 1 साल पहले. And you know what, we found that the farmers who were graduates were 2.7 times more productive than farmers who were 10th standard pass. And we couldn't get the data for farmers below 10th standard, so I don't know, but surely productivity would be far lesser there. So educate the farmers and get them into farming after getting education, and you get much higher productivity. So once we know the real challenges and we have done research on the ground and worked on things, do we start getting the real answers? But unfortunately that's exactly what we don't do. We go by perception. कोई ये नहीं चाहता कि कोई मुझे एंटाई फार्मर समझे, तो और फार्मर हम लोग क्लब कर लेते हैं एज फार्मर ऑफ अ पर्टिकुलर रीजन, उनको फार्मर बोल देते हैं. तो ये हमारे challenges को हमें ठीक करना जरूरी है. But again, let me teach you agriculture, but I hope you have a basic overview, and when you read things, read them with that perspective. Okay, there are some good articles that come by Dr. Ashok Gulati in Indian Express. On alternative Mondays, he writes these articles. Try getting hold of that. You will get some good idea about what should be done in agriculture and where is Indian agriculture suffering. Very good articles he writes. And there's another article set that you can read that they are also good. It's by Dr. Ramesh Chand. He also writes some very good articles on Indian agriculture. Of late वो थोड़ा कम लिखने लगे हैं, लेकिन वो अच्छे articles लिखते हैं. और interesting बात यह है that Dr. Ramesh Chand is the agricultural economic advisor to the Prime Minister, I mean the central government, and he knows everything that I'm telling you. He writes them in his articles also at times, but government doesn't apply those policies. So that becomes the challenging part कि आपके advisors जानते हैं, आपके advisors बता रहे हैं क्या करना है, लेकिन somehow political कारण से आप कह रहे हैं नहीं ये नहीं करूँगा, कहीं मेरी बदनामी ना हो जाए, लोग मुझे anti-poor ना समझ लें. You know, that becomes a big challenge. All right, let's see this then. You write below that. Could you tell me the line you had written? Yeah, government introduced targeted public distribution system, targeted PDS. Government introduced targeted PDS from 1998, under which 5 kg of food grain per month, 5 kg of food grain per month was available to all families, full stop. Those below poverty line were required to pay half of MSP, half of MSP paid to the farmers, and those above poverty line, those above poverty line were required to pay at MSP, full stop. In the year 2000, government introduced Antyodaya Yojana, Antyoday, Antyodaya, Antyoday, Antyodaya Yojana, under which families in severe poverty were provided 35 kg of food grains, 35 kg of food grains free of cost per month. Change the paragraph again and write, in 2013, government passed National Food Security Act, National Food Security Act, as a life cycle method, of providing food security. Okay, try understanding this. When I say life cycle method, what it means is that it starts from the birth and goes on till your death. All right, the idea of food security. So you will be given food security since you are born till you die. All right, that kind of life cycle method. How was that created? So the government said we will give you food security by giving you 6,000 rupees to mother and the child with the birth of the child for first 6 months. So 1,000 each month. That was the Matri Sahyog Yojana, and they said we'll do that, and that will give food security to begin with. Then we will give the Poshan scheme, under which there will be integrated child development. We'll give nutrition to the children, and we will give nutrition to children in school by midday meal scheme. And then they said every adult will be entitled, above 18, will be entitled to 5 kg of food grains, rice, wheat or millet at 3 rupees, 2 rupees or 1 rupee per kg from the PDS under NFSA. And then after 60 years of age, you will be entitled to 7 kg of food grain free of cost. You understand that? That was the mechanism created. मतलब जो लोग 18 years से 60 years तक के होंगे, उन्हें rice, wheat या millet मिलेगा at 3 rupees, 2 rupee and 1 rupee per kg. And 5 kg per month allowed. All right, this is how it went on till 2020. Then in 2020, we had the COVID pandemic, and the government wanted to support people a bit more. So what the government does is it introduces a scheme called Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. All right, PMGKAY, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, in which the government says that you are allowed to take 5 kg of food grain at 1 rupee, 2 rupees and 3 rupees per kg, millet, wheat and rice respectively. But apart from that, another 5 kg of food grain will be given to you free of cost. So every family or every individual adult will now be entitled to get 10 kg of food grain, 5 kg free, and the other 5 kg by paying 3 rupees, 2 rupees, 1 rupee, the subsidized price. The idea was to help people during pandemic because people had lost jobs, there was complete lockdown. So I said nobody should die of hunger, nobody should face that challenge. So we introduced it during pandemic. Fair enough. Now the first wave of pandemic ended by February 21. But then of course very soon it was followed by the second wave and it was a very deadly wave, the Delta wave by April 21. But by November 21, pandemic for all practical purposes was not hurting the economy. Everything was now opening up, people were allowed to work. So ideally it should have been December 21 kind of days when government should have folded back Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. उसको फोल्ड बैक कर लेना चाहिए था और वापस जो कर रहे थे वहीं चले जाते कि आप 1 रुपी 2 रुपीज 3 रुपीज दीजिए और अपने फूड ग्रेन लीजिए क्योंकि वही अपने आप में बहुत ज्यादा था. आप समझिएगा मेरी बात. वी वर गिविंग दिस फैसिलिटी टू 81 करोड़ पीपल इन इंडिया identified via socio-economic caste census. So it was covering 75% of population in rural area and 50% of population in urban area is covered under this NFSA. Already these many people don't need that much. Plus the poors were becoming comparatively rich between 2013 and 20, but we didn't change the price of wheat, rice and say millet from 1, 2 and 3 rupees. So in real terms, of course, it is much lesser. अगर 2013 में राइस 3 रुपया किसी को मिल रहा है और 2023 में भी 3 रुपया मिल रहा है तो सस्ता ही मिल रहा है फिर उनके लिए. आप समझ रहे हैं मेरे कंपैरिजन को? All right. So that is one thing we did, but government did not do that. Government said, no, we have the COVID continuing and the distress is continuing. We don't want to change it. Fair enough. That can be a possibility. Then Omicron variant affected us in January, but nobody bothered about Omicron. वो तो आपको पता ही है. ओमिक्रॉन को यूपी में और बिहार में खैनी के नीचे मसल के मार दिया. ऐसा मुझे किसी ने व्हाट्सएप पे मैसेज किया था दैट उसको ओमिक्रॉन को हमने मार दिया, उसने किसी को कोई इफेक्ट नहीं किया. तो ठीक है, बट स्टिल इट कंटिन्यूड. Now comes June 2022. Again, a review had to be done as to whether to continue with GKAY or not. The government said we will continue with it for another 6 months. All right. Now, please understand, when the government announced it, there were many good economists and newspapers who were criticizing it big time. All right. उस वक्त के द हिंदू के अगर आप आर्काइव्स देखेंगे लगातार क्रिटिसिज्म थी, क्यों बढ़ा रहे हैं, ये बिल्कुल नीडलेस है, खर्चा बढ़ाने की बात है. और मैं इससे डिसएग्री नहीं करता हूं, ये सही बात वो कह रहे थे. This was June 22, and in fact the allegations were put that this is done to win the Gujarat elections and they don't want to disturb people there. Okay, the Gujarat elections get over December 22. January 23, government makes an announcement. Government says that now people will get 5 kg only. The 5 kg extra is being removed. People will get 5 kg only, but the 1 rupee, 2 rupees, 3 rupees that they had to pay is not required anymore. You will get 5 kg of food grain free of cost. We are merging Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana into National Food Security Act. You get the story? Now, again, I'll tell you 2 things there. So first thing first, newspapers immediately from January started criticizing the government now. Why have you folded back this extra 5 kg? Somehow the poor were surviving. Now you are folding it back. That is so anti-poor stance of this government. They are not looking at the distress. 6 months back, these guys were thinking something else. So just remain conscious. मुझे आश्चर्य तब होता है जब मेरे स्टूडेंट्स को देखता हूँ, वो जून में भी नोट्स बना रहे होते हैं और जनवरी में भी नोट्स बना रहे होते हैं. नोट्स बनाते हुए तो तुम्हें स्ट्राइक करना चाहिए कि 2 अलग बातें एक ही आदमी कैसे लिख रहा है, क्योंकि ये दोनों बातें हिंदू के एडिटोरियल में थी. I mean, if B is complement of A, then I can't say B and A both, no? And if I'm saying both, then I'm inconsistent. And that's what many of us were showing ourselves to be. But anyways, now it was folded back. Now I'll tell you the second part of it. आप सरकार का भी सोचिए कैसी हरकत है ये. एक तरफ हम कहते हैं year of the millets. 2023 was the year of the millets. UNO had declared it, and India was the most propounding member there. जब आप एयर ऑफ द मिलेट्स कहते हैं और आप पॉलिसी लाते हैं व्हीट फ्री, राइस फ्री, मिलेट फ्री, तो कौन मिलेट अपटेक करेगा? तब तो लोग wheat और राइस ही लेंगे. अगर आप सच में ईयर ऑफ द मिलेट बनाना चाहते हैं, देन से राइस एट 6 rupees per kg, wheat at 5 rupees per kg, and millet free. Then you make it the year of the millet, no? You will instigate people to buy more millet. You will then instigate farmers to grow more millet. You can offtake more millet in the FCI. That has to be the method to promote millet. आप जितना मर्जी उसको बजट में श्री अन्न बोल दीजिए, उसके ऊपर अनाउंसमेंट्स कर दीजिए, लेकिन ये तो एक्चुअल डिस्कशन जो आपने किया वो अपने आप में एक पैराडॉक्स है. That if I want to promote millet and then I say that the price of wheat and rice will now be same as that of millet and all of them free, nobody is going to take millet then. Then people will take wheat and rice, and that's the elitist view we go with. अरे नहीं, millet is nutritious and look. तो आप 55 साल के ब्यूरोक्रेट हो सकते हैं जिनको हाई बीपी या कोलेस्ट्रॉल की दिक्कत है. आपको डॉक्टर ने कह दिया है चावल छोड़ दो, रागी शुरू कर दो, और महंगा खरीद रहे हैं आप ऑर्गेनिक रागी. वो आप हैं. भारत की जनता ये नहीं करेगी जब उनको फ्री में मिलेगा. ये जो मिस्टेक्स हमारे रहे हैं पॉलिसी के, दे आर स्टार्क इन द आई. And again I repeat, why give free food grain to 80 crore people? Again the government contradicts itself. On one hand we say with the release of the consumer expenditure survey that the number of people in poverty line are not even 10%. On the other hand, we are giving free food to 60% of the population. One of the two has to be incorrect. And 60% food free is incorrect thing to do. आप कहेंगे सर आपको क्या दिक्कत है, कुछ लोगों को खाना फ्री मिल जाता है. मेरी दिक्कत ये है कि अगर हम ये पैसा बचाए, हमारा फूड बिल है 2,12,000 crore rupees. That is the food subsidy bill of central government. If we can focus on the bottom 40% rather than 60-70% people, then we can give them not only food, we can also give them other nutrition things like pulses. We can give them things like say eggs or milk, which can add to their nutrition rather than only hunger. And that is the next step India is required to do, which we are not taking, which we should be thinking about. You know, that okay, how to make things nutritious for our people rather than giving. I mean, आप सोच के देखिए, bottom, I mean, 60% population, say 70% population, 67% population by 2011 census is covered under NFSA. The top 30% population of India earns something like 22,000 rupees per month per capita. All right, जो फैमिली 70,000 रुपए कमा रही हैं, 80,000 रुपए कमा रहे हैं मंथ के, वो इंडिया के टॉप 30, फैमिली की बात कर रहा हूं, वो इंडिया के टॉप 25-30% है. इनको थोड़ी फ्री फूड की जरूरत है. आप सोच के देखिए, क्यों दें इनको हम फ्री फूड? जो 15,000 रुपए महीना भी कमा रहे हैं, और अगर फैमिली 3 लोगों की है तो 5,000 रुपए पर कैपिटा हुआ, इनको आपको मदद करने की जरूरत होगी ना. Important thing is that where to focus my benefit schedule. और ये सिर्फ food subsidy की बात कर रहा हूँ. Then there is a Manrega, and then there is a PM Kisan, and then there is free housing under PM Awas, then there is Jal Jeevan Mission. So it's not that we are only subsidizing on food. And then there is fertilizer subsidy that we give, which is another 2 lakh crore rupees. You know? लोग कहते हैं रूरल डिस्ट्रेस, अखबारों में पढ़ेंगे आप, गांवों में सरकार ध्यान नहीं दे रही, गांवों पे खर्चा करना चाहिए, ये सब सुनते हैं आप आर्टिकल. आप कभी बजट खोल देखिएगा आंख खोलकर, और मैं दिखा रहा हूं आपको. 2,12,000 crore फूड सब्सिडी, 2,05,000 crore फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी, 89,000 crore मनरेगा, 60,000 crore पीएम किसान, 70,000 crore पीएम आवास योजना रूरल, एंड अनदर 60,000 crore on स्वच्छ भारत योजना रूरल. I'm not even adding education and healthcare to that for rural areas. And I'm not even adding state government subsidies which are given across. अगर सिर्फ इनको ऐड करो तो 7 लाख करोड़ रुपीस की सब्सिडी है ये. हमारे टोटल रूरल एरिया में 18 करोड़ फैमिलीज रहती हैं. 40,000 रुपया पर एनम की सब्सिडी दे रहे हैं हम पर फैमिली. फिर भी हम कह रहे हैं डिस्ट्रेस है. तब तो चेक करना चाहिए कि ये पैसा जा कहाँ रहा है. We need to do a reality check then. That where is the money going? If we are giving this much subsidy in our rural areas and we are still complaining about rural distress, then maybe we are not reaching the people we are expected to. But that is the problem we have, no? We don't talk numbers. That is one challenge we have in our country, that numbers are not talked about, and we hardly do analysis. Now please correlate it to the criticism I was doing of our education system, where I said that we never teach our children articulation analysis, creativity. We rather keep you busy with your memory part. So we are very good memorizers, but we are at times poor on articulation and analysis. You know कि जब वो करने की बात आए तो हमारा बस ऐसे जैसे घोड़ों को बांध देते हैं ना, ऐसे हमारा बंधा रहता है कि नहीं मैं इधर नहीं देखूंगा उधर नहीं देखूंगा, जितना मुझे बता दिया गया सिखा दिया गया उतने को ले ही कड़क कड़क दौड़ता रहूंगा, और बाई चांस किसी ने अलग बात बोली तो उसी पे शक करूंगा, कुछ तो गड़बड़ लग रहा है मुझे, मेरे रेशियल मेमोरी के साथ मैच नहीं कर रहा. So this is what we need to change in our system again if we want to make sure that these schemes become useful. 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए बहुत बड़ा अमाउंट होता है, उसकी यूटिलिटी देखनी चाहिए कि कहाँ हो रही है, किस पे खर्च कर रहे हैं, किनको चीजें मिल रही हैं. Unless we don't see all that and do all that, I think we will be. और आप कहेंगे सर सरकार कर रही है खर्च, क्या दिक्कत है इसमें? क्योंकि उसके टैक्स आप और मैं दे रहे हैं, उसके लैक ऑफ डेवलपमेंट ऑफ अदर एक्टिविटी आपको और मुझे भुगतना पड़ रहा है. सरकार अपने जेब से थोड़ी खर्च कर रहे हैं. The most laughable thing is when the minister says, I am doing it for you. I am doing it for you if I do it from my own pocket. You know, I am not doing it from my pocket. I am doing it from your pocket and then giving it back to you. So how come I am doing it for you? That's laughable. You know, so अब ये अगर हम समझने लग जाएं धीरे धीरे, we'll be able to target our subsidies much better. And एक और चीज है, हमारे करंट गवर्नमेंट के वक्त इन्होंने अपनी दुनिया बना ली है. तो आप देखेंगे जगह जगह जो भाषण भी देंगे लोग उसमें कहेंगे अभी बहुत ज्यादा चीजें पहुंच रही हैं लोगों तक, बट पैथेटिक हैज बिकम पुअर. पहले पैथेटिक हालत थी, that out of 100 rupees not even 15 will reach the poors. Now today out of 100 rupees 60 reaches the poor. But आप सोच के देखिए, if there is a 2,12,000 crore worth of subsidy and even 20% leaks out, forget 30-40%, even 20% leaks out, we are looking at a 42,000 crore rupees number per annum. 42,000 crore rupees is 80 Chandrayaan that we can finance with it. 42,000 crore rupees is 100 new universities. And either or, of course. 42,000 crore rupees is 80 multi-speciality hospitals. और ये सिर्फ किस में जा रहा है? क्योंकि कुछ लोग खा पी जा रहे हैं जो पैसा गरीबों के लिए बना हुआ है. उनको अलग अलग नामों से जाना जाता है, सरपंच जी, बीडीओ साहब, डीएम साहब, इन सब नाम से पुकारते हैं हम लोग उनको. लेकिन ये पैसे वो खुलेआम धड़ल्ले से खा रहे हैं, और उनको खिला कौन रहे हैं? जो ट्रेडर्स हैं, जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स हैं, जिनको आपने अपॉइंट किया है ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट टू प्रोवाइड दीज सर्विसेज टू द पुअर्स, एंड दे आर नॉट रीचिंग देम. And we are, again I repeat, we are not doing any conclusive study to check are we reaching them or not, and that is a big objection. फिर आप जितना मर्जी खर्च करिए उससे upliftment नहीं हो पाती. So that is the challenge of PDS we have. नहीं, एनुअल इनकम तो डिटरमिन हो सकती है फिर भी. किसने बताया तुम्हें ऐसा? हाउ डू यू नो दैट ऐसा सिस्टम नहीं है? नेशनल स्टैटिस्टिकल ऑफिस का नाम सुना तुमने? कोई बात नहीं है, जब जो क्वेश्चनर सेट डेवलप किया जाता है और जो स्टैटिस्टिकल टूल्स यूज किए जाते हैं, हम लोग पकड़ लेते हैं उससे कि कौन झूठ बोल रहा है. जब तुम बोलते हो मेरी इनकम है 100 रुपए और मेरा बेटा पढ़ता है उस स्कूल में जहां फीस है 500 रुपए, तो तुम पकड़े जाते हो. मतलब मैं एक ओपन कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन बता रहा हूं, ऐसे बहुत सारे कॉन्ट्रडिक्शंस हैं. अगर कोई कहेंगे कि मैं ओल्ड राजेंद्र नगर में रहता हूं, मेरे पास 600 स्क्वायर फीट का हाउस है, तो मेरी प्रॉपर्टी 1 करोड़ की हो गई, और तब वो कहेंगे मैं 3,000 रुपए महीने खर्च करता हूं, पकड़े जाएंगे कि वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं. तो प्रॉब्लम एस्टिमेशन की नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम इच्छा की है. Do we have the desire to actually get to the bottom of things? I can tell you this very proudly that we are one of the very few developing countries which started with an Indian statistical service way back in 1967, along with an Indian economic service. So we have the data very robustly with us. अभी ये प्रॉब्लम जरूर है कि हमने 2021 से सेंसस ही नहीं किया. पता नहीं सरकार की क्या मजबूरी रही कि सेंसस नहीं किए. लेकिन अगर सेंसस करें तो हमें बड़े आराम से डेटा मिलेंगे कि कहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है, किस किस जगह पर क्या है। हमें हमारा डेटा तो काफ़ी रोबस्ट डेटा रहता है जो हमारे पास है। हाँ, हम एक इनफॉर्मल इकोनॉमी है तो वहाँ पर एक्स्ट्रापोलेशंस करने पड़ते हैं, बट दोज एक्स्ट्रापोलेशंस आर ऑल्सो गुड इनफ टू एस्टिमेट व्हाट पीपल आर डूइंग। दिक्कत मैं फिर तुम्हें बताऊंगा यही है कि तुम्हें माइक्रो लेवल पे स्टडीज कंडक्ट करनी पड़ती हैं। ये स्टेट गवर्नमेंट करेंगे और लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट करेंगे, इसीलिए डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन ऑफ गवर्नेंस जरूरी है जो हमारे यहाँ नहीं है, और वहां से ये प्रॉब्लम्स। लेकिन एस्टिमेशन ऑफ इनकम कैन बी डन, maybe every household's estimation may not be done, but an overview that who is earning how much, who is the bottom 10%, who is the bottom 20%, that estimation can be done. We have the tools to do that. All right. Okay, और आज का दिन, आजकल के समय तो और अलग है। क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग की वजह से डेटा बड़े आराम से सिक्योर्ड है, बिग डेटा। मैकेनिकल लर्निंग के वजह से, मशीन लर्निंग के वजह से जो जो क्वेश्चन आए हैं वो बेटर फॉर फ्रेम हो रहे हैं। सो टुडेज रिसर्च इज मच इजी इफ यू आस्क मी। आई एम बीन लकी, मैं उस जनरेशन से हूँ जिसने ओल्ड सिस्टम में भी रिसर्च किया, प्री क्लाउड एंड प्री मशीन लर्निंग डेज, और आज भी करता हूँ। आई मीन लाइफ एज अ रिसर्चर इज हैप्पी एंड वेल्दी टुडे। You get paid more for working relatively less because your machines have made you more productive. तो वो कैच किया जा सकता है। ऑल राइट, नाउ इनफैक्ट यूएस वगैरह में तो एआई यूज कर रहे हैं, आपके फेशियल एक्सप्रेशंस लेते हैं जिस समय में आप आंसर कर रहे हैं किसी भी क्वेश्चन आयर को, तो वहां से भी आप पकड़े जाते हैं कि कहीं आप झूठ तो नहीं बोल रहे हैं। द फेशियल कंटोर्शंस शो दैट। ऑल राइट, लेट्स सी दिस देन। यू राइट बिलो दैट, no. There can be, there are 7 deprived sections in socioeconomic caste census. If you come under any of those, you are covered under this. But that is why it covers 67% of population of India. That is what I was referring to you. That if 67% people need free food grains in India, then it is quite interesting to know that poverty is only 10%. Both can't be true. Okay, you take this फर्दर। एक और बात से बचिएगा हमेशा, वो है कि नहीं मैंने अपने गांव में देखा 4 लोग गरीब दिखे, या अपने सराउंडिंग, आपका वो सैंपल साइज 1 है या 2 है, वो इंडिया नहीं रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा। सो दैट इज अगेन समथिंग वी शुड ऑलवेज टेक केयर ऑफ बिफोर कंक्लूडिंग टू व्हाट हैज हैपेंड और व्हाट इज नॉट हैपनिंग। ऑल राइट, ओके, यू राइट बिलो दैट। जो कहानी मैंने आपको सुनाई वही लिखवा रहा हूं, बस को एक रिटन फॉर्म दे रहा हूं। यू राइट अंडर एनएफएसए, so we can transfer money directly through the bank account. The challenge there comes up is that you need verification with respect to again the panchayats, that who are the people living in that area still who have the bank account and what is their money income. And once you start doing that, you will have to fold out the other subsidies. Now, we don't know how far people will be prepared if you fold up other subsidies like a food subsidy or fertilizer subsidy and tell them that, look, we are removing these subsidies and we are giving you money in return. Because people are used to getting these subsidies. So in that case, when you remove them, somebody will object that why are you doing it? Add to that the political idea of it. Politically, it will become very less feasible. And then you will have some people who will intellectually oppose it, saying, why are you putting money in the hands of people? They might misuse it. The money may be used for drinking wine and all, rather than giving them food and everything. So it is not that easy in a noisy country like ours. Well, there is a way. When I'll teach you agriculture, I'll teach you what is the way. But a better way, again I repeat, will be that you make sure that there are lesser number of people in agriculture. We don't need 45% of population in agriculture today, which we have of the workforce. You need to educate the farmers so that they understand how middlemen are exploiting them. And you need to create alternative employment opportunities for those who are middlemen. I mean, middlemen are not doing something illegal. And every middleman is not earning 10 lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees, 1 lakh rupee per month. Some of them are earning 10,000, 15,000 rupees per month, working in rural areas of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, etc. So tomorrow if you say I am removing middlemen, these guys will be up in arms against you. So create alternatives for them. You understand that? So we'll need to do some deep thinking and do this. There are methods, there are ways out. I'm just avoiding answering right now that let me reach it sequentially in agriculture and I'll give you the answer. But the solution lies in a multifaceted thing. I mean, you can't simply wish middlemen away. It's like saying tuition centers बंद कर देने चाहिए. अब इतने सारे लोग हैं भारत में जो 9th 10th 11th 12th की कोचिंग करा के अपना फैमिली चला रहे हैं और वो इलीगल काम नहीं कर रहे. तो जब आप कहेंगे मैं इसको बैन कर रहा हूं या बंद कर रहा हूं तो आपको अल्टरनेटिव भी तो देना पड़ेगा. फिर ये लोग करें क्या? आप ये नहीं कह सकते ना बंद तो मैं कर रहा हूं अब मुझे नहीं पता. Understand that. So this is something which we need to take care of, that if somebody is doing something illegal, you can still get ahead and say, look, it's illegal, I won't let you do this. But being a trader in India is not illegal. So even a small middleman is an agricultural trader. So you can't tell them tomorrow that, look, we are banning you or we are stopping you or we are making a policy that will make you out of picture. Okay, then what will you do with those approximately 500 crore people? क्योंकि इंडिया में करीब 50-60 लाख लोग हैं जो मिडिलमैन में हैं. तो आप क्या करेंगे इनका? कुछ तो इनको काम देना पड़ेगा. So this is something that these are the challenges we need to face them. And I'll teach you how to go. Let me teach you more economics and you will realize what is the wholesome picture of it that we need to do. And connected now to Make in India and Make for India, that if you develop industrialization, you will be able to release people from agriculture. You will get alternative service job for these middlemen who are in agriculture. And then give that benefit, along with that, make the policy more stringent and squeeze out the middlemen. That can work better. That is the idea. Okay, in fact, you need a state level coordination committee where every state and the central government at the top should be there as an agricultural coordination committee system. We need that very badly. The way we have a GST council, we should have an agricultural council. Imagine if Punjab is growing rice, Kerala is growing rice, Bihar is growing rice, Uttar Pradesh is growing rice. You don't need that. Let Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, especially eastern Uttar Pradesh or Assam, grow rice because they are relatively poorer states of India, and Punjab and Haryana can grow upper high level food products which can be used for higher income all over the country. So I think we need to think on an India basis rather than thinking about state level basis, which we do today, because agriculture is a state subject. So you need to bring everybody together, let them talk holistic and plan for the whole country. That, okay, which state can grow what more profitably, and then that state should do that, and then the coordination committee should decide, okay, this is how we will distribute all over India. So make it an India market rather than a state level market. And that will also do away with middlemen, because then that will mean that at an India level there are larger players in picture. So there are solutions. But again, I repeat, important thing is that A, are we educated enough to know all that, and B, are we competent enough to implement it? That is also a challenge. Okay, let's see this then. You write below that, under NFSA, government provides following facilities. Under NFSA, government provides following facilities. First, provision of maternal support, make it maternal care support. Maternal care support of rupees 6,000 to be given over 6 months. Given over 6 months means ये 6,000 रुपए 6 महीने में मिलेंगे, तक मिलेंगे नहीं, में मिलेंगे. All right, so over 6 months in 6 equal installments. In 6 equal installments to the mother of newly born child. 6 equal installments to the mother of newly born child. Six equal installments, that is 1,000 each for 6 months, 6,000 rupees in total. So this is from birth you start getting nutritional support. Second point, then you write 2. Government has introduced Poshan 2.0, Poshan 2.0, under which it is POSHION, Poshan 2.0, under which children in the preschool age is before they go to school. So children in the preschool age, so something till 5 years of age, are given nutrition support, and children in school are provided with midday meal. Then right below that, third, all adults above 18 qualify to get free food grains in a bracket you write rice/wheat/millet, any of the three, close the bracket, up to 5 kg free food grains up to 5 kg per month under PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. This scheme is at the moment extended till 2028. PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. It is extended till 2028. Next one, then you write people. No, this is again those who are the beneficiaries under an FSA. You write next point. All people above 60 years of age, 60, will get 7 kg of food grains, 7 kg of food grains per month, comma, free of cost. Then you write next, if a beneficiary is denied due to lack of availability of food, if a beneficiary is denied due to lack of availability of food, then government is required to provide money to them. अगर आप किसी कारण से फूड नहीं दे पाए तो पैसे देने पड़ेंगे. Alright, provide money to them. And one more point you write, each district should have a grievance redressal cell, GRIVANCE, grievance redressal cell where complaints can be lodged. Complaints can be lodged. Okay. You give a heading now, benefits of NFSA or PDS. They are one and the same. Benefits of PDS slash NFSA. Benefits of PDS slash NFSA.
The reforms were done in terms of in the distribution of food grains. What about the procurement and
We'll talk about it when I teach you agriculture. Market price. Okay, you write, but there is no need to do that if you have the food grain. So we have had no instance of it as yet. You write first point. It has resulted in significant reduction in hunger. Second, it has improved disposable income. Disposable income means the income you have in your hand which you can spend. That is called disposable income. खर्चा करने के लिए जो पैसा आपके हाथ में है वो डिस्पोजेबल इनकम है. तो अगर फूड ग्रेन फ्री का मिल जाएगा तो आप बाकी चीजों पे ज्यादा खर्च कर सकते हैं. दैट इज द आइडिया. So you write it has improved disposable income for people by saving their expenditure on food. Third, you write it has helped in controlling inflation and its impact on poor people by supplying essential food grains to the market. Next, you write it has established a complete supply chain ranging from purchase of food from the farmer, purchase of food grain rather, purchase of food grain from the farmer to its transportation, storage, milling, MILLING. जब आप धान में से चावल निकालते हैं या गेहूं में से आटा निकालते हैं या गेहूं के धान बीज में से उसे कहते हैं मिलिंग. ऑलराइट, थ्रेशिंग एंड ऑल. सो मिलिंग, packaging and distribution in the market which creates employment at each level. You see, you need somebody to transport, you need some set of people to guard the storehouse, do the management of the storehouse, do account keeping over there. You need some set of people to do packaging, some set of people to do milling, some people to run the ration shops through which you will distribute. So employment gets created at each level because of the supply chain distribution. And then you write one more. The system provides support. The system provides support to poorer sections during sudden shocks like a pandemic, drought, D-R-O-U-G-H-T, drought, earthquake, etc. So if there is a sudden calamity, you are at least supported in this case. All right, that is the support system you get. Then you write challenges of PDS and NFSA. Challenges. Again, this was a question that has been asked 2 times by UPSC to analyze PDS system, challenges, benefits of it. All right. So challenges of PDS and NFSA. First point you write in that. Lack of coverage in relatively poorer states. Lack of coverage in relatively poorer states. Relatively poorer states due to lack of infrastructure. Lack of infrastructure. Full stop. It also contributes to interstate inequality. Okay, I'll tell you what one implies by that. Think, when you talk about, say, the interstate inequality and so on, take states like Kerala or Tamil Nadu, or to some extent Telangana, to a large extent Gujarat. These are states, Rajasthan now, in the recent past, last 10 odd years, these are states where they have been able to develop a good distribution system. कि जहाँ पे डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन शॉप ज़्यादा खोले गए, सरकार की मदद ज़्यादा दी गई, तो नतीजा क्या हुआ? दैट availability of food grain and the offtake from the central pool is higher by these states. All right, and that means their people are deprived lesser. But certain poorer states like say Bihar or Jharkhand or eastern part of UP or Assam, they don't offtake as much because there is not enough infrastructure to take it up. All right, तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स जो हैं उन्होंने यहाँ हार्ड वर्क नहीं किया, तो नतीजा क्या हो रहा है? जो रिलेटिवली रिचर स्टेट्स हैं वहाँ, या बेटर ऑफ स्टेट्स हैं, वहाँ फिर भी फूड ग्रेन गरीबों के लिए अवेलेबल हो जाता है थ्रू अ पीडीएस, और जो रिलेटिवली पुअरर स्टेट्स हैं वहाँ ज़्यादा परेशानी देखने को मिलती है. एंड that's kind of paradoxical. Ideally, we should be able to reach the relatively poorer states much better rather than the richer states. But we see it opposite in our system. That again adds a lot to the pressure of inequality plus deprivation of people who really need it. So that is one challenge PDS faces. That is why I was saying we need an interstate coordination system. That distribution can be done better. Second, then you write 2. Large incidence of leakages. Large incidents of leakages during storage and transportation. large incidence of leakages during storage and transportation leads to loss to the government. Leads to loss to the government. I'll tell you something where, it brings a smile to the face because it tells us how deep we can go to be corrupt. So, it started in around 1990s because then our procurement increased a lot and a lot of money had to be made. So started 90s, what did they do is that the truck will be filled with the sacks and now the truck has to be taken to the godown. So in between the purchasing place and the godown, people would take out 10 sacks or 10 bags of rice or wheat and replace it with bags filled with pebbles and stones. ऑल राइट, तो मान लीजिए 100 बोरियां जा रही हैं, उसमें से 10 बोरी निकाल लिए और वैसे ही 10 बोरी डाल दिए पेबल स्टोन डालकर. अब जब पहुंचा वो गोडाउन पे तो ऑब्वियसली एवरीबडी इज नॉट गोइंग टू ओपन अप द सैक्स, सो पीपल वुड काउंट द सैक्स, पुट इट, एंड देन मे बी ओनली आफ्टर 2 years यू विल रियलाइज दैट देयर आर पेबल्स रादर देन राइस और व्हीट. ओके, तो सरकार ने एक तरीका निकाला, पता चला कि ये गड़बड़ी हो रही है. So in 2004, the government came up with a system. The government said that, look, we will not transport it or we will not offload it in any sack, any bag. There were bags created with a print and a hallmark of the FCI. और वो बोले कि जिस पर ये प्रिंट होगा जिस बैग पर वो असली बैग है और जो प्रिंट नहीं हुआ तो नकली है, पकड़ में आ जाएगा अगर आप रिप्लेस करते हैं. करीब 6 महीने 1 साल मामला ठीक चला. उसके बाद लोगों ने ऐसे नकली बैग बनाने शुरू कर दिए जिसपे वो प्रिंट था. किसी ने एफसीआई के अंदर से वो प्रिंट की ओरिजिनल चीज लीक कर दी थी, कुछ पैसे वैसे खा के. सो मार्केट में वैसे फ्लड हो गया एंड नाउ दिस स्टार्टेड हैपनिंग. तो ये चलता रहा कुछ हमारे यहाँ 10 साल तक. Again in 2015 the government said that, look, this is going bad, so let's do one thing, let's fit the trucks with GPS. कि ट्रक्स के अंदर जीपीएस लगा देते हैं तो जैसे ही वो रुकेगा या डाइवर्ट किया जाएगा तो पता चल जाएगा कि डाइवर्ट हो रहा है या रुक रहा है, एंड वी कैन स्टॉप द theft from happening. Now what is being reported is that they don't stop the truck. The truck is moving and by the side there will be another moving vehicle and they will throw the sack from the truck to the vehicle and take the other sack from the vehicle to the truck, and then the same thing can continue. So we are trying to make it difficult to do the corruption, but people are taking it one up. Now the next proposal is, maybe the next government can implement it. In 2022, this was the next proposal that said that let's have cameras fit on the truck and cameras fit into the godown, and then maybe we can try making sure that corruption doesn't happen. But that's what I was trying to highlight to you a little while back in my talk when I said that if you have a 2 lakh crore rupees subsidy, then even a 5% leakage becomes a 10,000 crore business. And that becomes very difficult to stop because there will be too many vested interests in that. You understand that? कि वो ऊपर से नीचे तक लोगों को खिलाने के काम आ जाएगा क्योंकि आपको पता है कि 10,000 करोड़ रुपए का बिजनेस है. अब बात यही आती है कि इसको रोके कैसे. वो बात मैं आपको सिखाऊंगा जब एग्रीकल्चर सिखा रहा हूं, बट एक हिंट लीजिए. इसको रोकने का एक तरीका यह है कि आप एक तो प्रॉफिट मेड फ्रॉम लीकेज कम कर दीजिए. वो कम करने का तरीका क्या है? द डिफरेंस बिटवीन मार्केट प्राइस एंड गवर्नमेंट्स प्राइस, इफ वी कैन ट्राई ब्रिंगिंग इट टुगेदर. दूसरा, अगर आप फार्मर को ज्यादा से ज्यादा अलाउ करें कि सरकार को बेचने की जगह आप मार्केट में बेचिए सीधा. Again, the same challenge comes, no, that the education level, the information networks, they are very weak in our country. So again, that can look very handy to me and you, but it is not that handy, for others. That is the challenge that we face. I mean, believe me, go to rural India, especially of underdeveloped portions of India, and there try visiting people who are the poorer sections. अब सोचिए, हम अपने गांव भी जब जाते हैं तो हम किन से मिलते हैं? जो हमारी तरह थोड़े बेटर ऑफ है ना. हम गांव जाकर भी उनके कॉलोनीज में थोड़ी जाते हैं जो गरीब लोग हैं हमारे गांव के. और बिलीव करिए, जब आप जाएंगे तो बहुत रेवलेशन होगा, क्योंकि मैं जाता हूं, मेरे गांव के जो सबसे गरीब प्रजाति है वो मुसहर कहलाते हैं. तो मैंने वहां भी 2-4 दोस्त बना लिए हैं, बातूनी आदमी हूं, तो उनको लगता है कि अच्छा ये मेरे घर आए तो बहुत बड़ी बात है, मुझे भी थोड़ा ईगो बूस्ट मिलता है। खैर, तो मैंने जब जाना शुरू किया उनके यहाँ, तो शुरू में जो सबसे बड़ा प्रोटेस्ट था वो मेरे अपनी कम्युनिटी से हुआ, that they said you can't go there, they are untouchables and if you are going there you are violating the whole community, we won't be then able to interact with you. I said don't interact. मुझे पता था इंटरैक्ट करेंगे, मेरे ही पास गांव में सबसे ज्यादा जमीन है जाएंगे कहा घूम फिर के आना ही है मेरे पास मत करो। मैंने कहा कोई बात नहीं, मैं तो ये करूंगा, मुझे जाना जरूरी है, मेरे बचपन से मेरे साथ रहे हुए लोग हैं ये, मैं तो इनके घर जाता रहूंगा। शुरू में मेरे फादर ने थोड़ा रेजिस्ट किया, लेकिन बाद में उन्होंने थैंकफुली वो मान गए, कुछ कहते नहीं थे। मैंने उनको भी यही कन्विंस किया, मैंने कहा पापा ये जाएंगे कहाँ, आप निश्चिंत रहिए, एक क्रॉपिंग सीजन बीतने दीजिए, अगले क्रॉपिंग सीजन में देखिए कौन आता है कौन नहीं आता। सब आने लगे, बोले जाओ ठीक नहीं कर रहा है, कुछ लोग तारीफ भी करने लगे कि अरे बहुत अच्छा बच्चा है। बट इंपॉर्टेंट इज जब मैं उनके यहाँ जाने लगा, आई सॉ फ्यू थिंग्स विच इज सो अनथिंकेबल इन आवर डोमेन। One of them was casually talking about death of a child. कि आप बैठे हुए हैं, नॉर्मल उनके यहाँ बातचीत चल रही है, और आप उनसे बोले अरे वो लड़का नजर नहीं आ रहा अभी, और वो उतने ही कैजुअली बोल देते हैं हाँ मर गया पिछले साल, तबीयत खराब हो गई थी। एंड दिस इज समथिंग दैट पिंचेस यू, दैट यू नो they are very casually telling you it died. You know, so this is one thing that started affecting me a lot, that अच्छा देखिए ये हालत है जो हम समझ ही नहीं सकते। सेकेंड, स्मॉल थिंग्स विच वी टेक फॉर ग्रांटेड, लाइक एक स्विच को ऑन कर दो तो आपकी बिजली चल जाएगी, पंखा चल जाएगा। बहुत लोग हैं आज भी भारत में जिनके लिए ये एक मैजिकल बात है, कैसे एक स्विच होगा जिसको ऑन करेंगे तो बिजली चल जाएगी। तो हमारा बिल्कुल अलग है, दुनिया में बड़े होते हैं, हमें पता नहीं होता। और जब मैंने अपने गांव में ये देखा तो इंटरेस्ट और जग गया। सो इन माय रिसर्च प्रोसेस देन आई डू अ लॉट ऑफ फील्ड वर्क। नाउ ऑफ कोर्स इन द लास्ट 4-5 years I have not been able to do much field work, but I would do a lot of field work. I will go myself to the villages, sit among the people, try finding out, prepare my own questionnaire, survey them to check where are we at the moment. And again some very revealing things would come up. 41% farmers in India, and we surveyed close to around 6 lakh farmers, you know, so it was not a small number, but for small sample, but 41% among them did not know that there is something called minimum support price. And I'm giving you numbers from 2019. ये 2019 की बात आपको बता रहा हूं कि 41% को पता ही नहीं था कि कुछ मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस नाम की चीज है इस दुनिया में। और ये जितने भी लोगों की मैं बात कर रहा हूं, all these 41% farmers were farmers who did not have 2.5 acre land also. So they were the actual poor farmers who should be supported by MSP, and they don't even know there is something called MSP. So you know that kind of contradiction we live in. That is what we have to. तो जब हम कहते हैं ना UPI, ट्रेडेबल्स, e-vouchers, ये हमारे लिए अपीलिंग है, लेकिन बहुत लोग हैं हमारे देश में, आप सोचिए आज भी according to NSSO 19% population in India is completely illiterate. They cannot even read and write their name in one language. अब 19% population of India is close to 25 crore people. 25 करोड़ लोग हैं जो अपना नाम भी लिख पढ़ नहीं सकते किसी लैंग्वेज में, कैसे फोन चलाकर यूपीआई डाउनलोड करेंगे उसके प्रोजेक्ट्स? ये कहना आसान है कि नहीं कोई भी कर सकता है। मुझे याद एक बार प्रधानमंत्री जी ने डीमोनेटाइजेशन के वक्त कहा था कि अगर आप एक व्हाट्सएप पे वीडियो देख सकते हैं तो मनी ट्रांसफर क्यों नहीं कर सकते? इट्स लाइक सेइंग अगर आप ड्राइंग बना सकते हैं तो चेक पे साइन क्यों नहीं कर सकते? मनी की कॉन्शियसनेस अलग होती है। यू नीड टू बी कॉन्शियस अबाउट मनी, व्हाट एम आई स्पेंडिंग। और मेरे यहाँ जो हेल्पर थे, अभी नहीं पहले, उनकी हालत इतनी थी, वो शहर में थे, काम करते थे, तो भी इतनी हालत थी कि वो 30 के ऊपर काउंटिंग नहीं जानते थे। तो वो बोलते थे 3 बार 30, 4 बार 30, ऐसी उनकी काउंटिंग होती थी। You know that this is how it would be. So this is the country we are living in. So we will have to plan accordingly. And again, उसमें without going it saying it goes कि हमें पढ़ाना लिखाना है लोगों को, लेकिन अभी जो नहीं पढ़े लिखे, जिनकी हालत बुरी है, क्या मदद करें, कैसे उनको अपग्रेड करें, क्योंकि ये हमारे आपके लिए अच्छा है, या जो शहर में रह रहे हैं गरीब हैं उनके लिए अच्छा है, नेक्स्ट जनरेशन पढ़ लिख रहा है उसके लिए अच्छा है, लेकिन हम इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते 25 करोड़ लोगों को जो बिल्कुल पढ़ना लिखना नहीं जानते, एंड ऐड टू दैट अनदर 10 करोड़ पीपल हु आर फंक्शनली इलिटरेट, जो सिर्फ साइन ही करना जानते हैं। उनसे नॉर्मल पूछ लो 10 में से 6 माइनस करोगे तो क्या होगा, उनको पता ही नहीं तुमने क्या बोला और ये कैसे किया जाए। So when you look at economic system, you got to be very conscious about how do you protect the very vulnerable who are these people. They can be cheated so easily, they can be manipulated so easily. और आप समझिए जैसे जैसे मैं डिजिटलाइज कर रहा हूं इकोनॉमी को, तो साइबर क्राइम्स भी बढ़ जाने के चांसेस रहते हैं ना। आपने मेरे अकाउंट में जनधन का पैसा डाला, मैंने मेरे जनधन अकाउंट में मेरा ट्रांसफर डाला, किसी को पता चला, उन्होंने एक प्यार से मुझे लिंक भेज दिया, इसको क्लिक करो तो तुम्हें 1 लाख रुपए मिलेंगे। मुझे अकल ही नहीं कि नहीं करना चाहिए मुझे ये क्लिक। अच्छे खासे पढ़े लिखे लोग तो ऐसे ऐसे झांसे में आ जाते हैं। कभी मुझे अचानक फोन कर दिया, तुम्हारा फोन कैंसिल होने वाला है, तुम जल्दी से अपना नो योर कस्टमर कराओ, नहीं तो तुम्हारा फोन कैंसिल हो जाएगा, तुम्हारा फोन नंबर वैलिड नहीं रहेगा। अरे नहीं सर, क्या करना होगा, अभी मैं तुम्हें एक लिंक भेजूंगा, उस पर क्लिक कर देना तो तुम्हारा फोन का नंबर कैंसिल होने से बच जाएगा। जी हुजूर जल्दी भेजिए। भेजा, उन्होंने जल्दी निकाल लिया। So this is the cyber theft we are having, and the policing in India is still colonial. आप कभी एक रिपोर्ट दर्ज करके दिखा दीजिए अगर मोबाइल खो जाए सिर्फ तो। in the city, forget the village and the rural areas. हाँ, लेकिन अगर आपके फोन नंबर में, फोन बुक में है 2-4 नंबर, तो आप कब रिपोर्ट तो छोड़िए, सब कुछ दर्ज हो जाएगा। तो ये कॉलोनियल पुलिसिंग है ना, क्या अमीरों के लिए तो पुलिस है, गरीबों के लिए पुलिस नहीं होगी। तो आप सोचिए, हमने अपने वल्नरेबल ग्रुप को एक्सपोज किया है, एंड वी गॉट टू बी केयरफुल व्हाट वी आर डूइंग अबाउट देम। एंड अगेन आई रिपीट, एजुकेशन इज द की। बट जैसे ही आप ये बातें बोलेंगे पब्लिक डोमेन में, पीपल स्टार्ट कॉलिंग यू एंटी नेशनल, दैट बिकम्स अ चैलेंज। फिर डिबेट की गुंजाइश नहीं रह जाती ना, अगर आप क्रिटिसिज्म सुनने को ही तैयार नहीं है। और हमारे सरकार ही नहीं, हमारे ऑपोजिशन भी अब ऐसे हो गए हैं। राहुल गांधी जी को पत्रकार सवाल पूछे तो उनको बोल दिया तुम बीजेपी के हो क्या। ममता बनर्जी जी की एक इंटरव्यू से उठ के चली गई थी 2017 में कि तुम सीपीएम के हो इसीलिए मुझसे ये सब सवाल पूछ रहे हो। तो हम तो पॉइंट आउट करते हैं कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट देखिए इंटॉलरेंट है, मैं तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स को भी टॉलरेंट नहीं देखता हूं। ममता बनर्जी जी का कार्टून बना दिया एक पर्सन ने तो उनको जेल डाल दिया कोलकाता पुलिस ने। कर्नाटका वी हैड दिस इंसिडेंस वेयर द पर्सन वाज जेल्ड फॉर just talking against the government. These are dangerous signals then, because जब एक democracy है तो democracy बिना debate के तो हो ही नहीं सकती। So have a debate, talk to people, and everybody is free to say whatever they have to. But I see hypocrisy on every side, so I'm trying to just highlight that to you. You bear with me for this 1 minute digression. But आप सोच के देखिए, जो लोग कह रहे थे कि पद्मावत को रिलीज होने दीजिए क्योंकि पद्मावत एक पिक्चर है, एक क्रिएटिविटी है, जिनको दिक्कत है वो ना देखने जाएं, वही लोग बोले एनिमल को बैन कर दो। वो भी तो एक पिक्चर है, क्रिएटिविटी है, जिनको नहीं मर्जी वो ना देखने जाएं। आपको क्रिटिसाइज करना है तो लिख के क्रिटिसाइज करिए, बोल के क्रिटिसाइज करिए, बैन करने को क्यों कहते हैं। बट जो लोग पद्मावत के वक्त समय में यही लॉजिक दे रहे थे, वो एनिमल के वक्त ये लॉजिक भूल गए और बोले मिजोगाइनिस्टिक है, बैन। मिजोगाइनिस्टिक जरूरत ही नहीं है, बेकार पिक्चर ही थी, मैं तो 35 मिनट के बाद नहीं देख पाया। वो भी मेरे बेटों ने नेटफ्लिक्स पे खोल दिया, बोला देखो ये पिक्चर 800 करोड़ रुपया कमाई है। सो द इकोनॉमिक्स इंटरेस्टेड मी that what is it that it can earn 800 crore. After 35 minutes I thought no, the brain has to be given a rest. बट ठीक है, जिनको अच्छा लगा मान लीजिए और वो देखना चाहते हैं, आप कैसे कह सकते हैं कि आप मत देखिए। डेमोक्रेटिक सिस्टम है। और अगर आप कहेंगे एनिमल बैन कर दीजिए तो आप उनसे अलग कैसे हुए जो बोलते हैं पद्मावत बैन कर दीजिए। फिर तो वो भी सही बात कह रहे थे, उनके भी सेंटिमेंट को ठेस पहुंच रही थी। सो दैट हिपोक्रेसी हैज टू गो। इफ वी आर अ लिबरल सोसाइटी, if we are a liberal democracy, let's be willing to see things, discuss them, criticize them, and let's be open to criticism even if it happens, and debate the criticism. The point is that मान लीजिए किसी ने कहा आपके स्कीम में ये नहीं हो रहा, आपको लगता है कि नहीं ये बात गलत है, तो फैक्ट से और डिबेट से प्रूफ कीजिए कि यही हो रहा है। But that's not happening. My only limited point is that that's not happening. And if that doesn't happen, then we are in some problem. पहले होता था कि मोदी जी इंटरव्यू देते हैं या नहीं देते, फिर कहते देते हैं तो अपने लोगों को ही देते हैं। अब इस पूरे इलेक्शन में राहुल गांधी जी एक इंटरव्यू नहीं दे रहे, तो अब क्या वो डिक्टेटोरियल हो गए हैं? या उनको अर्णब गोस्वामी जी वाला एक्सपीरियंस याद है 2014 का, कि उसके बाद इंटरव्यू देना खतरनाक है भाई, पता नहीं क्या पूछा जाए और मैं क्या बोलूं। So you bear with me for this digression for 5 minutes, but I'm trying to drive home to you that policies are never foolproof. They are always in a sandbox. Sandbox होता है testing place. और sandbox क्या करता है? Filter करता है. The good things will go down, the bad things will remain ahead. So if you want to do it in a sandbox, then debate has to be done when that sandbox is operating, the initial 6 months, 1 year, 2 year of the policy, and after the debate, if it is an open debate, then you reach the real result and then implement the policy and you get a good result. The way we are having with GST. Initially कितनी criticism थी ना GST की, it's sorted. I mean, the income levels are so high and so on, and the revenue levels. So that is how one has to understand and discuss and debate things. Because लोग कह सकते हैं गलत बात भी, blatantly गलत, तो blatantly गलत बात को तो प्रूफ करना और आसान है ना कि ये blatantly गलत है। कल मैं एक YouTube पे वीडियो देख रहा था 15-20 मिनट का, प्रियंका गांधी जी का कल वो था, लेक्चर था रायबरेली में, मैं इंसिडेंटली उसी तरफ जा रहा था, तो मैं वो वीडियो देख रहा था कि क्या बोल रही हैं, लाइव सुन रहा था। उन्होंने कहा 70 करोड़ लोग भारत में बेरोजगार हैं, और 2 बार दोहराया इसको कि 70 करोड़ लोग भारत में बेरोजगार हैं, जबकि 60 करोड़ तो इंडिया का टोटल वर्कफोर्स है। तो 70 करोड़ कैसे बेरोजगार हो गए? और मैंने ये कमेंट लिखा उनके लाइव वीडियो में, देयर वाज समबडी वेरी नाइसली इरेडिकेटिंग दैट कमेंट। तो उनकी आईटी टीम बैठी हुई थी। मैंने कहा 60 करोड़ इज द वर्कफोर्स, हाउ कम 70 करोड़ आर अनएम्प्लॉयड, रिमूव्ड? आप सवाल मत पूछिए। मालिक ने बोल दिया 70 करोड़ अनएम्प्लॉयड तो 70 करोड़ अनएम्प्लॉयड, बात खत्म। भले ही 60 करोड़ लोग हैं जो एम्प्लॉयमेंट ढूंढ रहे हैं। तो ये आपको यही समझा रहा हूं that you know maybe it is the devil in the deep sea, so you don't know at the moment, but we need to call it out कि ये डिबेट जब तक आप अलाउ नहीं करेंगे, ओपननेस नहीं होगी, तब तक दिक्कत बनी रहती है। Any which way, now when we talk about, okay, so let's first complete that. You write the third point, challenges. You write there are incidences of inclusion error and exclusion error. I hope you would recall from yesterday, inclusion error is when you are including those people who didn't deserve to be there. Exclusion error is when you are excluding those people who should have been there. How does inclusion error happens? I just told you that we have too many people, 800 million people don't need free food grains. So there is inclusion error. How does exclusion error happen? Think. Exclusion error happens such that, suppose I have walked 5 kilometers from my place to the PDS, जो शॉप है, मैं 5 किलोमीटर अपने घर से चल के आया, मैं गरीब आदमी हूं, मैं बस और रिक्शा नहीं ले सकता, तो मैं चल कर आता हूं। अब मैं वहां पहुंचा और वहां पता चला दुकान बंद है और कल खुलेगी। I don't have the courage now to come back next day. That can be one simple instance. Second, my fingerprints may not match the Aadhaar enabled system immediately. I am deprived of things. अब उस केस में ये मत नहीं कह रहा हूं बिल्कुल मैं कि आधार खत्म कर देना चाहिए। आधार बेस्ड recognition and identification is a must in a country like India. But what can we do? We can be a little more flexible. In a particular month, say out of 1 month, out of say 5 months, if by chance my fingerprint is not matching, but I have a valid voter ID and I have a valid Aadhaar card, you take my number and print it across. In other circumstances, even iris match can be detected. कभी कभी फिंगरप्रिंट्स नहीं मैच करते क्योंकि वो स्वेट की वजह से नहीं मैच कर रहे हैं, या मैं शायद हैमर से काम करता हूं तो या एग्रीकल्चर में काम करता हूं तो थोड़े चेंज हो गए, दे मे नॉट मैच। इट्स नॉट दैट दे विल नेवर मैच। कभी कभी आप भी जाते होंगे अपना आधार आइडेंटिफिकेशन में, पहली बार में मैच नहीं किया, फिर कहते हैं दोबारा रखो, प्रेस करो, then it matches. So that it's a technology finally. My point is, just in case somebody is not able to prove it, don't deprive them of the food. Give them food by using other identification techniques. That flexibility should be there. Maybe in the worst situation, what the shopkeeper can do, take the picture of the person on mobile, connect that picture with the Aadhaar and mobile and voter I card identification, keep it in the file, report it. क्योंकि ये चीज ऐसा नहीं है कि बहुत frequently होता है. This happens maybe in 1% to 0.5% cases. But then remember, if you are talking about 80 crore beneficiaries, and even if it happens in 1% cases, you're looking at 80 lakh losers, no, who will lose out. एक और चैलेंज आता है कि लोग पहुंचे वहां आधार आइडेंटिफिकेशन के लिए और उस दिन नेटवर्क काम नहीं कर रहा, या पर्टिकुलर डे पे जो इंटरनेट है वो फंक्शनल नहीं है, and again they get deprived. So these are very small hassles. They can easily be taken care of, and we should have the flexibility in the mechanism to do that. Then you write next, so that is exclusion error. कैसे गरीब लोग तक ये नहीं पहुंच पाता. Then you write next, it results in overproduction of wheat and rice, overproduction of wheat and rice, which harms the ecology, Since government will distribute wheat, rice and millet, there also the demand for wheat and rice is very high. It incentivizes everyone to then keep producing wheat and rice, and that becomes ecologically disturbing. Then you write another one, fifth point. It puts large burden on government. It puts large burden on government budget. In a bracket you write approximately 10 lakh crore rupees, 10 lakh crore rupees have been spent, approximately 10 lakh crore rupees have been spent on food subsidy, in the last 5 years. Close the bracket. Without solving the problem of malnutrition, without solving the problem of malnutrition. All right? So problem of malnutrition is not yet solved. We are still ranking, the stunted children in our country is high, the number of wasted children in country is high, but we're spending so much on supposedly a food security. Whatever I told you, like using technology, also making sure that there is proper reporting, flexibility in operation, these will be your conclusion whenever you are writing such an answer, suggesting what can be done to solve the problem. I hope we are clear on that. You write the next point now, the next point after PDS. Like PDS was the point we wrote yesterday. Now you write the next point, development of physical infrastructure. Development of physical infrastructure. I'll just take a minute, just to remind you, we talked about PM Janman, PM Vishwakarma, financial inclusion, Manrega, PDS, now the sixth point, development of physical infrastructure. All right, that is the sixth point we are talking as steps taken to create inclusive growth. जो ये बातें आप लिख रहे हैं, they can also be written as steps taken to remove poverty in India. वो inclusive growth के लिए, poverty के लिए, दोनों के लिए work करेगा. Yes, yes.
So why can't we use transparent tax for transportation?
The availability can be a challenge to begin with. You'll have to manufacture them on a large scale. That is the point. Okay. Then you talk on this. अब इसमें देखिए आप सभी infrastructure projects की बात नहीं करेंगे. मैं आपको कुछ infrastructure projects के name दे रहा हूँ अभी, and I will teach you these things when I'm teaching you infrastructure. But I'm telling you what are these things for inclusive infrastructure development. So in this you can talk about government projects like PM Gram Sadak Yojana for rural connectivity or Bharat Mala Yojana connecting backward regions of the district with district headquarter suburban rail scheme connecting intercity traveling. So these are few things on transportation that you can talk about, which is working on the inclusion idea. That PM Gram Sadak Yojana for rural connectivity, Bharat Mala Yojana, one of the schemes under Bharat Mala is connecting backward regions of the district with the district headquarter. Another is suburban rail scheme that is connecting the areas just outside the city to the city using the railway system. So all that is making sure that you are developing connectivity for inclusion. This is not about any connectivity. So we are not talking anything about, say, commodity transportation, and we are not talking anything about, say, airlines transportation. It is mainly about what can be useful where the vulnerable and the poor can also get benefited by transportation development. So these are few which you can use for transportation, and I will teach you these schemes, as I repeat, when I'm teaching you infrastructure. Similarly, so let's say one set can be this. Second can be when you are talking about schemes connecting to power sector. So one can be PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, the scheme on solar power up to 300 units free for each family. Then there can be Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. They call it Saubhagya scheme. Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. This is electricity for all, that every household in India should have electricity. And then there is Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana. So this is electrification of villages. Electrification of villages. Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana. So for power sector, you can talk about this, that there are different schemes used for power sector development. Good morning, everyone. I see your messages now. I just didn't see them earlier. Sivasis, you can say that opportunity cost of rice and wheat growing is the lack of resources we are left with to grow other crops. Okay. So this is on power sector. These are all. Then there are the schemes also like revamped power development scheme and all. But these are typical things targeting directly the poor in the system. And then you can also talk about communication sector through schemes like BharatNet. So BharatNet is broadband facility for all. You know, there is the BharatNet scheme that connect even the rural areas with broadband. I can believe everybody understands broadband. All right, faster communication system. जो मोबाइल में आप अभी यूज कर रहे हैं वो नैरो बैंड है, जो इंटरनेट आप यूज करते हैं, तो डाउनलोड स्लो होता है, मूवमेंट स्लो है, ड्रॉप्स ज्यादा हैं. ब्रॉडबैंड मीन्स मोर सॉलिड सपोर्ट ऑफ इंटरनेट एंड इट कैन contain larger amount of data and larger faster transportation of data. All that can be done with broadband. So creating the broadband facility for all. So we can go on, but you can keep these. And once I have taught you the basics, you can always include that as a part of answer to what are the steps taken for physical infrastructure development for inclusive growth. Now, along with physical infrastructure development like these, you can also add civic amenities development in the same point that the government has been doing, the civic amenities development. So when we look at, this is still the same point, civic amenities development. So you can talk about PM Awas Yojana, both rural and urban. You can talk about Swachh Bharat Yojana. With respect to construction of toilets. You can talk about Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Jeevan Mission, that is water from tap. Again, we can go on with more, but these many. So imagine if you have 9-10 schemes, and if you write even 10 words on each scheme, and by chance they ask you the steps taken by government to develop physical infrastructure to create inclusive growth, you can always have 150 words on that then. All right, that if we can remember these 10 odd schemes of government, and we write 10 odd words also, 12 words also on each scheme, we have a 150 word answer in our hand. All right, that has to be the main motive. So this is again something that we talk about. This is about the possible physical infrastructure schemes that we can create. Then after that, you write the 7th one, development of social infrastructure. Search him. You must know in a country ruled by BJP, who was Deen Dayal Upadhyay. एक बार सर्च करना, उनको देखना, कभी कभी पढ़ना चाहिए सब लोगों के बारे में. 2-3 लोगों को सर्च करो, तुम्हें अभी के गवर्नमेंट की थिंकिंग समझ में आएगी. ये बहुत जरूरी भी होता है. दीन दयाल उपाध्याय उनमें से एक थे. अंत्योदय शब्द उन्होंने ही क्रिएट किया था. अंतिम व्यक्ति का भी उदय, तो उससे अंत्योदय. श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी एक और थे, ठीक है. इसी तरह आई मीन देयर सो मेनी, बट यू मस्ट डू रिसर्च. यू नो, आई टेल यू व्हाई. मुझे आश्चर्य लगता है जब लोग कहते हैं ना बीजेपी ने 370 हटा दिया. उनके मैनिफेस्टो में 92 से था भाई. आई मीन आश्चर्य तो तब होता जब नहीं हटाते. मैं एक बात 30 साल से अपने मैनिफेस्टो में लिख रहा हूं, और मुझे जिस दिन कंप्लीट मेजॉरिटी मिली मैंने कर दिया वो काम. It will be surprising. I mean, the problem is in us that we don't read manifestos of the party, or we don't take them seriously. Some of the parties also don't take their manifesto seriously. That's separate. But end of the day, if you see the manifestos of the party and see what's written in it, you will realize that few things that they do is not surprising. अब अगर एक पार्टी है जो आपको रूल करते हैं, तो अगर आप उनके हिस्ट्री को पढ़ेंगे, क्या बैकग्राउंड रहा, क्या उनके थिंकर्स थे, किस थॉट पे बेस्ड हैं, you will be able to predict the language, the tenor, the tone, and then you will at least not be surprised. My only point was that. So Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay was one of the founder members of, not BJP actually, BJP happened very late. You know, it was the Jan Sangh that was formed. तो जनसंघ इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद के थोड़ा पहले फॉर्म हुआ, ठीक है. और जनसंघ पेरेंट बॉडी थी जो जनता पार्टी में विलय किए, और जब जनता पार्टी टूटी 1981 में, तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी बीजेपी वाज फॉर्म्ड इन 81. Alright, that came, but the parent body was जनसंघ, And that is why you will see the proximity between members of BJP today or Jansangh in the past and RSS as their think tank. So it's come like that. Okay. Then when we talk about, in fact, इसीलिए आप जब किसी के भी विचारधारा को देखेंगे, जैसे जब कांग्रेस बोलते हैं तो कांग्रेस बोलते हैं हमने आज़ादी दिलाई। जो हमारे कांग्रेस आज हैं उन्होंने थोड़ी आज़ादी दिलाई, ये तो कांग्रेस आई है। दैट कांग्रेस गॉट डिवाइडेड इनटू मल्टीपल नंबर्स। तो आज़ादी दिलाने वाले, अब ये बात कोई अगर बीजेपी को भी समझा दे तो बात शायद थोड़ी बन जाए कि हम अपने जो जिन लोगों ने हमें आज़ाद कराया उनको बेइज्जत करना छोड़ देंगे, बिकॉज वी आर आफ्टर देयर लाइफ, द फ्रीडम फाइटर्स। और कोई कांग्रेस को भी समझाए कि भाई वीडी सावरकर भी जो थे वो फ्रीडम फाइटर थे। तो हम लोग गांधी जी से लेकर सबकी बेइज्जती में लगे हुए हैं, हम उनको अपने प्रिज्म से देख रहे हैं कि कौन मेरे वाला आदमी था, कौन दूसरा वाला था, वो बेचारे आज़ादी के लिए लड़े हुए थे। तो इसीलिए आपसे बोल रहा हूँ कि ये विचारधारा होती है, दिस इज द थॉट प्रोसेस। आप कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया के यहाँ ऑफिस है, आई एम मिसिंग द रोड्स नेम, इट इज जस्ट अक्रॉस द कॉर्नर, यू नो, जहाँ पे वो बंगाली स्वीट हाउस एंड ऑल हैं, द गोल्ड डाक खाना, just around that Communist Party of India's office is there, I mean, and Marxist Party. They have no Indian Marxist or Indian communist photo over there. लेनिन और स्टालिन का फोटो दिखता है वहां पे। वो कारण है कि वो इलेक्शन हार रहे हैं इतना। इमेजिन, लोग सोचते हैं भगत सिंह, राइट विंगर्स भगत सिंह को यूज करते हैं, एंड भगत सिंह वॉज अ डिक्लेयर्ड कम्युनिस्ट। लुक एट द पैराडॉक्स ऑफ इट कि कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया के ऑफिस में भगत सिंह की कोई फोटो नहीं है, और जो राइट विंग के लोग हैं वो कहते हैं मैं भगत सिंह का फॉलोअर हूं। तो ये एक अनपढ़ देश में नॉर्मल है, मैं इसमें आपत्ति नहीं करता। आई एम नॉट ऑब्जेक्टिंग टू इट। व्हेन यू आर अ लेस लिटरेट सोसाइटी, इवन लेस एजुकेटेड, these contradictions are very normal, but you need to see the thought process, learn the thoughts to realize what is the basic thought from which this person is coming, especially if that person is either the opposition or your ruler. तो पता तो होना चाहिए कि अच्छा सोच क्या होगी। तब जब आप उनके बारे में डिटेल से पढ़ेंगे, मैं आप सबसे ये बात कह रहा हूँ, आप इंडिया के यूथ हैं तो थोड़ी बहुत इन चीज़ों को डिटेल में पढ़ना चाहिए। अब तो आज के आप लोग तो गिफ्टेड हैं, आपको विकीपीडिया से लेकर सारा सपोर्ट है, तो आप एक क्लिक करेंगे और आपको सब कुछ मिल जाएगा कि कौन क्या करता था। बट डू स्पेंड सम टाइम, यू विल बी एबल टू प्रिडिक्ट द डिसीजन मेकिंग ऑफ पीपल हु आर इन पावर, you know, that always keep that in mind. Okay, then when we talk about social infrastructure, this will mainly cover education, healthcare. It can cover more things, but we'll mainly focus on education and healthcare. So again, when you look at education, you can talk about schemes like Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. So this has been introduced now. Earlier it used to be Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Total Literacy Mission. Now the government says it will be Holistic Literacy Mission, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Similarly, they talk about Eklavya model schools. Eklavya model schools for tribal children. You know, these schools are tribal children. They will be residential schools for tribal children. Or you can also talk about e-Pathshala, that is using technology to reach education to deeper portions of the country. जहाँ पर आप स्कूल नहीं ले जा सकते या टीचर्स नहीं ले जा सकते, वहाँ आप इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली थ्रू योर इंटरनेट एंड ऑल reach education to people. Or you can also talk about Ministry of Skill Development, and Ministry of Skill Development runs various schemes, you know, so those schemes can be things like PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana, और दीनदयाल उपाध्याय ग्रामीण कौशल विकास योजना, It also includes things like, or schemes like Ustad, which is targeting the minority sections of India. Ustad is the acronym for upgrading and skilling uh, for training traditional art and craft development. That is the full form for Ustad. It targets the minority group, upgrading and skilling for training in traditional art and craft development. Upgrading and skilling for training in traditional art and craft development. That is called Ustad, as it has been developed. So there are various schemes that the government runs for the people. Now, you can also keep adding things like Nai Kiran, which is again a scheme to rehabilitate women who have dropped out of school back into school. कि मान लीजिए कोई women है जो स्कूल से ड्रॉप आउट कर गए, अब 4 साल 5 साल बाद उन्हें थोड़ा पढ़ाकर वापस स्कूल ले आइए. So that scheme is called Nai Kiran. Again, that is implemented for mainly women in the minority section. All right, so there are multiple schemes, but again, if you remember 3, 4, and the recent ones, that will help. Yes, yes. There no, so that is that they are in a separate thing. So there are schools and specific schools for people with special abilities, and they can be incorporated there, especially for people who are hearing impaired, people who are visually impaired, and people who are autistic or have a Down syndrome. So there are specific schools, and government has a separate budget for that.
One nation, one ration card can be considered as a scheme for inclusive.
Yes, it can be, definitely. All right, you can include it with the initial part of creating food for all and all. Okay, and then you can talk about healthcare apart from education. You can talk about healthcare in the same point. For healthcare, you can talk about Mission Indradhanush. So Mission Indradhanush is for vaccination. Apart from Mission Indradhanush, you can talk about National Health Mission. We can also talk about PM Jan Arogya Yojana, mainly a subset of Ayushman Bharat scheme. But this can be for insurance. We can also here talk about PM Jan Aushadhi Yojana. For cheaper medicines. And we can go on again, but again, if you remember 3, 4, it'll be easy for you to manage an answer if you have to write it. So Mission Indradhanush mission is for vaccination. It's vaccination against 12 disease. Mission Indradhanush, vaccination against 12 disease. Then National Health Mission, PM Jan Arogya Yojana under Ayushman Bharat scheme, and PM Jan Aushadhi Yojana, AUSADHI, PM Jan Aushadhi Yojana for medicine at a cheaper rate. They are actually generic medicines which are given at a cheaper rate. Okay, so these are the basic things you will use in case you are asked a question on health, inequality or poverty, that what are the steps taken by government to remove them. All right, then we take things further now. You give a heading, so there we are. Again, I repeat, I'll come back to this topic when I'm teaching you poverty and I'm teaching you unemployment. We'll keep coming back to inclusive growth or globalization. But now I take you into a new discussion. So it is still an inclusive growth. The discussion is, you write a heading, you write steps required to bring inclusive growth, steps required to bring inclusive growth in a market economy. Steps required to bring inclusive growth in a market economy. So what I'm trying to teach you is, there was a question in 2022 where the question was, is it possible to have inclusive growth in a market economy? All right, so we're trying to answer that. That answer is, of course, yes, it is possible to have inclusive growth in a market economy, but then what can be the possible steps that might be needed to create that inclusive growth in a market economy? We are moving in that direction. So when we talk about inclusive growth in a market economy, understand it like this. See, so economies can be classified as capitalist economies. In a capitalist system, you will have all central problems solved through market forces of demand and supply by using price mechanism. All allocation of resource, for example, what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, this will be done by price mechanism. That is forces of demand and supply. You don't have to draw it, but just reminding you, we used to draw these figures, price and quantity. So if it is about what to produce, then whatever can be produced at a cheaper rate, whatever is demanded more, whatever can be supplied easily, that will be produced more. The problem of what to produce will be solved like that. Similarly, how to produce, so if labor is cheaper, you will use more labor. If capital is cheaper, you will use more capital, and so on. All right, so price mechanism, what does the price suggest? That decides the solution of the central problem. That price आपको बताएगा क्या scarcity में है, क्या surplus में है, किसकी ज़रूरत ज़्यादा है, किसकी ज़रूरत कम है, कौन क्या demand कर रहे हैं, and you will use the price mechanism to talk about what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. In a capitalist economy, private property dominates. And less role for government in the economy. That is the other feature, that there will be private property, there will be inheritance, private businesses, and government will have a lesser role in the market. All right, the less role will be there, like taxations and all will be there, but that will have a lesser role in the market. It's a private property which will have a larger role. Also, common property resources can also be in private control. For example, say a pond in the village or a well in the village, or for example, a road that is going, people can own it privately. All right, it is possible. That is possible that there is something called, like say a mine for that matter, so that can be used by the प्राइवेट सिस्टम कि ये अब जैसे अगर एक सोशलिस्ट कंट्री को आप देखेंगे तो उल्टा होता है एवरी कॉमन रिसोर्स विल बी ओन्ड बाय द government. But here the common resources can also be owned by the private sector, and there is no major ideological challenge to that. So that is what a capitalist system does, all right, or used to do. Also remember, the pure capitalism and the traditional capitalism of 19th century, जिसको देख के मार्क्स ने socialism की theory दी थी, that capitalism cannot be seen anywhere else now. For a reason that many things happened in the last 100 years, which have changed the whole nature of capitalism. For example, development of trade union or creation of joint stock company, जो shares बेचते हैं अपने, or for that matter, labor laws, welfare state, provision of taxes, taxing the corporate. You understand that? These things were not there 100 years ago. 100 साल पहले ये चीजें थी ही नहीं. तो एक अलग दुनिया थी वो, एक अलग capitalism था. That started changing with around Second World War, and it has changed drastically today. But still, what we are talking here is pure capitalism the way it used to exist. The second side of the story is when we talk about socialist economy. So these are economies where central problems of the economy are solved by government through planning commission. All right, so government will appoint a central planning commission, and that planning commission will solve all the central problems. There won't exist any market. All right, there will be no market for product. There will be nothing distributed through market. There will be nothing called price of the product. It will entirely be government determined. In fact, in big socialist economies like Soviet Union, they used to give their people vouchers, that this is a voucher for education, this is a voucher for healthcare, for milk, etc. You go and give it to the person who is distributing it. They will give you the product or the service, and they will give it to the government, and government will reimburse. So there was not even money used quite a bit in many cases. All right. Also, the second feature is that very less scope for private property and all economic decisions are taken by government. So in a socialist economy, you may have private property here and there. Somebody may own a car, or somebody may have a television or a refrigerator. But the economic decisions about what will be produced, who will be getting it, how things will be in a particular state or a city, everything will be strictly under government control. All right, government will be doing that. And the third factor is all common property resources are with government. All common property resources are with government. Government will own all the mines, government will have all the land, government will have all the buildings. There cannot be private ownership of property resources. That is socialist economy. Then of course in the real world, economies choose to be mixed economies. Mixed economies are those which have features of both capitalist economy and socialist economy. So now there can be mixed economies with a tilt towards socialism, the way India used to be pre-91, and there can be mixed economies which are gradually moving towards a market economy, again India after 91. And the question that was asked from you was in that context, that can we have equitable distribution or inclusive growth in a market economy? All right, that is the basic idea. So market economy doesn't necessarily mean a pure capitalist economy, but a market economy will mean that it is a mixed economy with a tilt towards moving towards the market. All right, so you write below that you write market economy is designed such that its major economic decisions are taken through forces of demand and supply, and government plays the role of facilitating economic activities. All right. Then you write below that inclusive growth can take place. Inclusive growth can take place in a market economy through following steps. And you write first, establishing sound environmental policies. You know, actually again, I'm taking you into a talk where अभी वर्ल्ड ओवर ये नॉर्म्स काफी बातचीत हो रही है. इन्हें कह रहे हैं ESG norms. All right, environment, corporate social responsibility, corporate governance. So if you have ESG norms followed by the corporate, then your distribution will be equitable and you can still do things via the market. So I'm beginning with the E part, that you should have your environmental regulations and rules in place. So what can be those? If you look at it, so when we talk about establishing emission norms for vehicles and factories, there is one part of how you can deal with environment related to commerce. Like in vehicles in India, we have the BS6 norms. That can be one example of setting up emission norms, that you can't emit, pollution beyond a limit. So setting emission norms for vehicles, factories, and so on. The second is establishing conditions for producers which need to be satisfied before releasing their waste product into biosphere. Like you should treat your waste and your effluent should be treated before you release it to the biosphere. So establishing those norms, all right, that establishing conditions for producers which need to be satisfied before they can release their waste product into biosphere. All right, so establishing conditions for producers which need to be satisfied before releasing their waste product into biosphere. So even in a market economy, you need to put the conditions to make sure that people don't send untreated waste into the system. Also, increasing tax on fossil fuel and providing subsidy to cleaner technology. Increase tax on things like fossil fuel, and if you have a solar energy or a wind energy or even the lithium ion batteries, you can start providing a little bit more subsidy to those so that you encourage the cleaner sources against the costlier one. All right, that is another thing that can be done in a market economy for environmental regulation. Below that, you write the next point. So this is, say, if I can call it A and B and C, then you can write D, promoting cleaner agriculture, promoting cleaner agriculture, cleaner agriculture by discouraging use of chemical pesticides, discouraging use of chemical pesticides, and discouraging excessive use of water and chemical fertilizers. And then one more you write, having strict rules to prevent establishment of production units like big factories in natural habitat of animals, birds, and other creatures. Animals, birds, and other creatures. Like when you talk about not disturbing the mangrove forest, not dredging the coral reefs, you understand that one should refrain from doing such things. This is about what can be the regulations set in a market economy. Then you write below that, second, corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility. In a bracket you can write CSR. Corporate social responsibility. And in a bracket you can write CSR. Why should a corporate take social responsibility? Like corporate social responsibility means a company, a corporate should also do activities which can enhance the social system. For example, say ecological protection or teaching the children or protecting the women and upgrading them or sports promotion. All that can be corporate social responsibility. So why would we expect corporate, say if a corporate says, no, hang on, I pay my tax and so be it. Why do you want me to do social responsibility? Then they will say, I'm earning profit, I've paid my tax. Okay, one is that both things are correct. One, they are using resources of the nation. More importantly, public resources like policing. You understand that? Like water supply, like electricity at a subsidized rate. They're getting all that and they're living in the same society, number one. Number two, sometimes they can have better expertise in doing things that others cannot. And that is where corporates live today like individuals themselves. You understand that? I hope I'm reaching you on this last line. That corporates are people, they are entities. So in that case, they need to take the responsibility of the society they are living in. Now, if the corporate wants to be convinced, what's the profit for me in that? A big profit for them is the goodwill they will create among people, which will make sure they can do their business smoothly. I'll give you, maybe I might have given you that example earlier, so if it has been done, you bear with me. But think, Tatas are sold Air India, and Tata's already held Indian Airline, the Vistara airline and Air Asia, but nobody said this government is Tata ka sarkar. Change the name Tata by Ambani and see what happens. Think about it. I mean, they were already owning two airlines in India. Air Asia was under Tata's control, Vistara was under Tata's control. Then we chose to sell Air India to Tata's. There was no single article in the newspaper suggesting this has to be something wrong and there has to be some wrong idea. Why? Because Tata's have created that image of themselves of doing clean business. एयर इंडिया के अलावा इस पूरे 9 साल में पिछले 10 साल अब तो उसमें हमारी सरकार ने सिर्फ एक और कंपनी बेची है. जब आपको प्राइवेटाइजेशन सिखाऊंगा तो वहां बताऊंगा. आप सोचिए इतने दिनों से हम नाच रहे हैं, सब बेच दिया, सब बेच दिया. सरकार भी मजे ले रहे हैं, हाँ मैंने बेच ही दिया. कोई पूछ नहीं रहा क्या बेचे भाई, इतने पूरे साल भर में क्या बेचे. एक एयर इंडिया बेचे और एक नीलांचल इस्पात बेचे. So out of 1300 plus public sector companies that are there in India, 500 plus public sector companies in central government's control, they could sell 2. And look at the noise. सब बेच रहे हैं, सब बेच रहे हैं. इससे ज्यादा तो 16 कंपनीज तो वाजपेयी जी ने बेच दी थी 6 साल में. 6 कंपनीज नरसिम्हा राव जी ने बेच दी थी 5 साल में. 2 कंपनीज बेची गई. और नीलांचल इस्पात अगेन एक स्टील मेकिंग कंपनी है. किसको बेची गई? टिस्को को. But that's corporate, perspective. That if people have a perspective that no, they are honest people, people will take it that no, they are honest people. And that's a huge capital to have. Huge capital. You believe me on that. There is this assistant of mine, now he is in revenue service. इन्होंने कुछ दिन मुझे assist किया था अपने UPSC की preparation में. By chance, there were few events that happened when I left an institute, changed things. So somebody from that institute wanted to do something by filing a wrong case on tax evasion on me. And this fellow had assisted me and had lived with me for very long. Incidentally, the file went to his office and he calls me up and says, sir, this is coming. You come over, talk to me. Give me your explanation, we'll file it immediately. इनके complain करने से पहले आप explanation लिख के दे दीजिए मुझे. It's a social capital you create where people who have worked with you, people who have been with you, they trust you sufficiently to tell you that okay, this fellow may be doing business, but I know this person will not be doing wrong things. किसी भी corporate के लिए बहुत बड़ा social capital है वो. That people trust you, your product, your mechanisms. आपके workers मान के चल रहे हैं कि अच्छा मैं इनके साथ काम करूंगा तो safe हूं. तीसरी बात क्या है कॉर्पोरेट के लिए बेनिफिट? Another benefit is they can always use it to advertise, which many of them do. You must be buying those registers and all, जिसके पीछे लिखा होता है ना 1 rupee from this will go for a tribal child or for forest ecology development. That is their CSR. But then once a register writes that at the back, it can incentivize many people to buy it. And the government says you can use it, no problem, but do your CSR. So it is important that corporates take up their social responsibility because as you correctly suggested, they use resources from the country, they have their expertise in tackling things. Most importantly, they are part of the country. So if the whole develops, the individual can expect to grow better in that developing whole. You understand that? ये CSR का idea सबसे पहले France में आया around 40 odd years back that the corporate should do CSR. Gradually it picked up and in India we introduced CSR with the Companies Act 2013. that there should be more confidence among people regarding the corporates. अब कभी कभी देखिए हमारा जो lack of confidence होता है, that results in making business system difficult in India. You know, that is a problem. हमें एक ट्रेनिंग दे दी गई है, उसी से बचना है हमें एक ट्रेनिंग दी गई ना, profit is a bad word. But why profit should be a bad word? If I am inventing something new, if I am innovating an idea, I am executing it, I am working hard on it, I am hiring people, I am creating a valid business, and in turn earning my profit, why should somebody resist it? Think of it. कभी कभी मैं आप लोगों से भी सुनता हूं, नहीं सर मैं तो प्रॉफिट नहीं कमाना चाहता था, देश की सेवा करना चाहता था, सैलरी लेकर या उसके बिना. तो जो एंटरप्रेन्योर का प्रॉफिट है वही तो वर्कर का सैलरी है. तो तुम फ्री में थोड़ी देश की सेवा करने वाले हो. और कोई भी करना नहीं चाहेगा या ना करना चाहे, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. किसी से एक्सपेक्टेड भी नहीं है कि फ्री में सेवा करे. लेकिन अगर मैं फिर रिपीट करूंगा, इफ समबडी इज क्रिएटिंग वैल्यू, इफ समबडी इज अ नारायण मूर्ति इन द कंट्री and is creating an Infosys, giving you value addition, and in turn his company is earning profit, then that person should be an aspiration rather than somebody whom we should say that, oh, this person is profit oriented. वो नौकरी क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, वैल्यू क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, इन द प्रोसेस प्रॉफिट अर्न कर रहे हैं. ये यूथ के लिए इंस्पिरेशनल होना चाहिए. डिक्राई करने की चीज नहीं होनी चाहिए, कह रही है कि आप प्रॉफिट के लिए काम करते हैं. और मैं आपको बता ही चुका हूंगा क्योंकि मैं नॉर्मली ये बोल देता हूं कि प्रॉफिट तो वेस्टर्न कंसेप्ट भी नहीं है, हमारा कंसेप्ट है. सो वी हैव बीन टॉकिंग ऑफ शुभ एंड लाभ. तो हमें सोच के चलना है कि प्रॉफिट मेकिंग बाय राइट मेथड इज नॉट अ चैलेंज. इन अ मार्केट इकोनॉमी द चैलेंज इज इफ पीपल ट्राई मैनिपुलेटिंग द मार्केट एंड अर्निंग प्रॉफिट बाय आउट रनिंग देयर कॉम्पिटिटर्स थ्रू अनफेयर मीन्स. जो करने में धीरू भाई उस्ताद थे, क्योंकि वो ऑर्गेनिकली करप्ट थे. So Dhirubhai Ambani was an organically corrupt person. He would do corruption without the other side realizing it's corruption happening. जब वो घूस भी देते थे, दूसरे को लगता था नहीं मेरे दोस्त हैं कुछ दे रहे हैं मुझे, पर वो आपको एक्चुअली घूस दे रहे हैं. There's a very interesting story about Dhirubhai that when Rajiv Gandhi ji became the Prime Minister of India, Rajiv Gandhi ji wanted a clean India. He said that I want India to be clean and I want a modern India and I don't want corruption of past to prevail. So he then kept asking all ministries कि कहाँ से पैसे आए, किसने दिए. तो हर जगह रिलायंस का नाम आता था कि रिलायंस से पैसा आया, रिलायंस ने पैसा खिलाया. तो राजीव गांधी जी ने बोला कि इनसे मुझे नहीं मिलना है. So no matter what happens, this fellow should not be allowed to meet me. And by then Dhirubhai was the #1 businessman of India. He was the richest man of India. 1985 I am talking. 1982 में ही वो इंडिया के richest person declare हो गए थे. खैर, Dhirubhai tries contacting him, PMO rebuffs him. Every time he calls up, he said, Prime Minister is busy, he's not around, he can't talk, and so on. 1985 October, Prime Minister is going to Soviet Union. His cavalcade comes out of the office. 5:30 in the morning, right in front of that cavalcade is Dhirubhai waving his hand. किसी ने अंदर से टिप ऑफ कर दिया था कि इस समय प्राइम मिनिस्टर निकलेंगे, तो धीरूभाई वहां अपना हाथ हिला रहे थे. तो अब आप देश के सबसे अमीर आदमी और सबसे बड़े बिजनेसमैन को ऐसे इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते कि वो हाथ हिला रहे और आप गाड़ी लेकर निकल जाए. तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने बोला कि भाई इनको बुलाओ और 5 मिनट का टाइम देंगे इनको या 10 मिनट का, ये चले जाएंगे. खैर, धीरूभाई इज कॉल्ड इन, ही सिट्स विद द प्राइम मिनिस्टर and prime minister tells him that you have 20 minutes, that is what it will take me to reach the airport, whatever you have to speak you tell me and leave immediately. And he was very curt to him, very rudely bole. Dhirubhai said, I don't want 20 minutes, I need 5 minutes. I have been trying to contact you for last 10 months now. People are not letting me talk to you. But your mother considered me like her younger brother. And before she had died, she had kept 50 crore rupees with me. I don't know what to do with that money. And if I tell this to anybody else, your mother's name will come in unnecessary disrepute. She was a wonderful lady. So I want to just let you know that I have this money. Wherever you tell me, I will give it. And I will never show you my face again. You just let me know and I leave immediately. My car is waiting on the other side. Needless to say, the Prime Minister was mightily impressed. कि अरे ये कितने महान आदमी हैं. इनके पास 50 करोड़ रुपए मेरी माँ के थे, ये चाहते तो दबा जाते और कोई नहीं देखने वाला था. और हम 50 करोड़ बात कर रहे हैं आज से 40 साल पहले. तो ये पैसा खा भी जाते, कोई नहीं समझता. और मेरी मदर का रेपुटेशन का इनको कितना ख्याल है कि मैं तो इनको रिबफ कर रहा था, रूड था, तो भी ये पब्लिक नहीं गए मेरी मदर की बात को लेकर. And why was Dhirubhai doing all that? He had impressed the Prime Minister now. October 1985, this meeting happens, then more meetings happen, and February 1986, Reliance was opening India's first petroleum refinery owned by private sector in Jamnagar. You know? So Dhirubhai was that. And that is why Dhirubhai was the only billionaire self-made in India before 1991. नहीं तो वही टाटा, वही बिरला, वही बजाज, वही थापर्स, वही वाडियाज जो इंडिपेंडेंस के पहले रिच थे, वही इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद रिच थे. धीरूभाई वाज द ओनली गेट क्रैशर इन दैट पार्टी. एंड आई एम नॉट सेइंग इट विद एनी वैल्यू जजमेंट. मैं आपको बस एक स्टोरी सुना रहा था कि करप्शन करते थे वो, क्योंकि वो इंडिया करप्ट था बहुत ज्यादा. अगर आपको आज का इंडिया करप्ट लगता है तो आप इंटू 5 मल्टीप्लाई कर दीजिए उस इंडिया को. उस लेवल की करप्शन होती थी, क्योंकि ट्रांसपेरेंसी भी बिल्कुल नहीं थी. तो धीरूभाई ऑर्गेनिकली करप्ट थे, उस इंडिया में ग्रो कर गए. जैसा मैंने आपको बताया, रिलायंस के बारे में एक जोक था उस जमाने में, दैट if the officer forgets to sign the Reliance file, because the officer has been bribed, so the officer's duty is to sign it. But if the officer forgets to sign it, then the Reliance would bribe even the PN to remind the officer कि सर वो रिलायंस की फाइल रुकी हुई है, जरा साइन कर दीजिए. तो वो कहा यह जाता था कि टॉप टू बॉटम ब्राइब करते थे वो, यू नो, एंड एवरीबडी. उनके बारे में ये आज भी ट्रू है, रिलायंस के बारे में, कि दोनों साइड को पैसे देते हैं. दैट जो भी पार्टी सरकार में आएगी, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होनी चाहिए मुझे. तभी जब कोई ऑपोजिशन में बोलते हैं कि ये सरकार अदानी अंबानी की सरकार है, वो रियलाइज नहीं करते कि अंबानीज हैव बीन द रिचेस्ट इन इंडिया फॉर मोर देन 40 इयर्स नाउ. और इस बीच में सभी की सरकारें आ गई और चली गई. बिकॉज अंबानीज टेक केयर ऑफ दैट, यू नो. एंड आई एम नॉट सेइंग इट अगेन विथ एनी गुडनेस इन माई माइंड. आई एम सेइंग इट टू एक्सपोज टू यू व्हाट वी आर एट टाइम्स. यू नो, मैं उनको बिल्कुल प्रेज नहीं कर रहा. मैं इसलिए आपको बता रहा हूं कि उसमें पॉलिटिक्स अपना रोल प्ले कर सकती है, बट बिजनेसेस डू वन स्टेप बेटर देन दैट. अभी इलेक्टरल बॉन्ड्स की इतनी बात आई, पैसे खुले, पर कितने सारे पैसे डीएमके के पास गए, कितने सारे पैसे बीआरएस के पास गए. इलेक्टरल बॉन्ड से उधर भी तो पैसे जा रहे थे. और आज मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं कि इलेक्टरल बॉन्ड एक अच्छा सिस्टम था, मैं हमेशा ही उसके खिलाफ था, स्पेशली उसकी एनोनिमिटी के अगेंस्ट था, क्योंकि लोग कहते हैं पता चल जाएगा तो विक्टिमहुड होगा. सबको पता है कौन सी फैमिली बिजनेस की किस पार्टी के पक्ष में है. अगर हम ये मानना चाहते हैं कि पॉलिटिशियंस इतने नाइव हैं बेचारे कि उनको पता ही नहीं है कि कौन सा बिजनेसमैन मेरे साइड है और कौन सा ऑपोजिशन के साइड, बड़े भोले लोग हैं. अगर आप ये मानते हैं तो मुझसे गले लग जाइए, आपका भोलापन आज भी बचा हुआ है. मैं तो करप्ट हो गया, इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ते पढ़ाते ये सारी बात समझ गया हूं. आप इतने भोले लोग हैं, प्लीज हग मी, आई विल गेट सम प्योरिटी फ्रॉम यू. I mean, it's a known fact. Even in a municipal corporation, everybody knows which shopkeeper is supporting whom. Forget big businesses. So anonymity was not needed. We could have gone with purchase of electoral bond in public domain, you know. But it is because of electoral bond that at least we have a data of which corporate was giving money to whom. Imagine what would have been happening without them. हम लोग ऐसे एक्ट कर रहे हैं जैसे इलेक्टरल बॉन्ड के बाद ही कॉर्पोरेट ने पैसे देने शुरू किए पॉलिटिशियंस को. इलेक्टरल बॉन्ड के पहले क्या होता था सोचिए, उसका क्या हिसाब किताब है, कहां पता है किसने किसको कहां पैसे खिला दिए, किसके पास पैसे चले गए. वी डोंट इवन नो. तो इसी को मैं कहता हूं लैक ऑफ आर्टिकुलेशन. कि कोई ये सवाल नहीं पूछ रहा कि प्री इलेक्टरल बॉन्ड डेज का फिर क्या हिसाब किताब है, वो बताइए जरा. You know, nobody is talking about that. We are rather busy. हाँ, किसने किसको पैसा दिया, इसने इसको दिया, बीजेपी को पैसा मिला, कांग्रेस को कितना मिला. That's not the concern. The concern is what is the system in which corporates are giving thousands of crores to the political parties. And if they are giving thousands of crores to political parties, whether through the bonds or otherwise, then obviously they won't give it for free. They must be giving it for a purpose. You know, free में क्यों देंगे पैसे? तो ये हमारे ज्यादा बड़ा एक्यूलीज हील है. सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कॉर्पोरेट्स का करना इसलिए भी जरूरी है दैट दे आर एबल टू अपलिफ्ट मोर पीपल, विच विल देन क्रिएट डिमांड फॉर देयर प्रोडक्ट ओनली. सो इन केस somebody asks you why CSR is important, they use the resource, they can have the expertise, they can get goodwill among people, they create social capital, and upliftment of people creates more demand for their product. In the last few minutes I was telling you these 4-5 points. Do I believe it can stay with you? Okay, let's see this now. You write below that CSR was introduced in India. CSR was introduced in India with Companies Act 2013, full stop. According to CSR rules, any company which earns more than okay, you write it like that. Any company which has earns word hata do. You write any company which has a turnover of more than 1,000 crore. What is turnover? The money you earn by selling your commodities. That is called turnover. So whenever you see this word turnover, it is income or revenue generated by selling commodities and services. सपोज मैं इस चेयर को प्रोड्यूस करता हूं और मैंने 100 ऐसे चेयर्स बेचे फॉर 20 rupees each, then 2,000 rupees will be my turnover. Alright, so the revenue I earn by selling my goods and services will be my turnover. Alright, so this is one, that income or revenue generated by selling commodities and services. Flow variable, yes. So you should have a turnover of more than 1,000 crore, and you write in the same thing, put a comma and write net worth of at least rupees 500 crore, net worth of at least rupees 500 crore. Net worth means, this term means total assets minus total liability. Total assets minus total liability. So, assets are everything that create value for you. All right, houses and factories and machines, and liabilities are all your IOUs, where you have to pay somebody. All right, so when you take asset minus liability, you get the actual worth of an individual or a company. All right, the idea can be very simple. If I tell you I have cars of 1 crore rupees, so you'll say, good sir, nice for you. Then I say I have a house of 2 crore rupees, you'll say, even better sir. And then I say I have loan of 6 crore rupees. Then my net worth becomes minus 3 crore, because my assets are 3 crore and my liability is 6 crore. So my assets made me look like a rich person, but when you considered my liability, you realized how indebted I have been. So that is the idea of net worth, that take the total asset minus total liability. So turnover of 1,000 crore, net worth of 500 crore, and a minimum profit of rupees 5 crore will have to spend 2% of their profit 2% of their profit for CSR. All right, I'll just put it in perspective for you. All those companies which have a minimum net worth, turnover 1,000 crore, minimum net worth 500 crore, and minimum profit 5 crore should be giving 2% of their profit for CSR. Now remember, if your net worth is 500 crore and turnover is 1,000 crore, then you will be supposedly a large company. And then you are earning profit 5 crore or above. So out of that, 2% has to be given as CSR. In the same thing you write, the government has identified 11 categories of activities, 11 categories of activities under CSR they are, and I'm not making you write all, I'm just making you write some. So they are educational development, comma, uplifting women, comma, ecological promotion, comma, healthcare development, comma, sports facility development, etc. Then you write, if the firms are unable to do CSR activity themselves, then they can hire an NGO to certify them. So they can pay the money to an NGO and the NGO will give them the certificate that, okay, we did this work for them. So they can hire an NGO to certify them, or they can provide contribution to Prime Minister's Relief Fund. All right, so 3 ways in which they can do it. Do it yourself, hire an NGO, or give money to PM Relief Fund. Then you write below that,
Does the government intervene in terms of their productivity?
as in,
As in the money they are spending versus the development that's actually happening.
so there will be a CSR board to look into that, and the Ministry of Corporate Affairs takes a tab of it, that how much work you have actually done and what is the result of that work. That tab is taken.
So how is this different from government and companies collaborating together? And
That's different, because in that case, government will have to provide the land and government will be one of the partners. But here, there is no partnership, there is no business. It's just an obligation on the companies to fulfill this.
so subsidies are also different.
They're different. All right. Then you write within that, every company should have a CSR board. Every company should have a CSR board to assure that activities are fulfilled and reported to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Also remember, it is a legal obligation, CSR, a legal obligation, but a voluntary one. There is no penalty if you don't fulfill CSR, but if 3 consecutive years you are unable to meet your CSR need, then the company will have to be answerable to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. You understand that? एक लीगल ऑब्लिगेशन है. अगर आप किसी कारण से CSR फुलफिल नहीं कर पाए, there will be no penalty on you. But if you are failing to fulfill your CSR obligation for 3 consecutive years, then the company will be answerable to Ministry of Corporate Affairs as to why they could not do it. I can believe you understand this. Okay. Then you write below that, third thing, corporate governance. So we talk about environment, E, corporate social responsibility, S, and then corporate governance, G. All right, that is called the ESG norms. Corporate governance. You put a dash and write, it refers to practicing of ethical business decisions by corporates. I can believe you understand the point. Ethical business decision means you should not be doing unfair practices. All right, so ethical business decisions by corporates, full stop. It expects the board of directors to make policies and decisions which are beneficial to not only promoters and owners of the company, but also to small shareholders, comma, creditors and workers of the company. Small shareholders, creditors and workers of the company. All right, that is corporate governance. Govern your corporate in a better manner. Correlated to what I was telling you other classes also, that corporate bodies, the bigger ones, also run on public money. So if they run on public money, the shareholders' money and creditors' money, they need to make sure that they run properly and they don't misuse that money. The latest example of bad corporate governance can be Byju's. All right, where they were running on public money, not necessarily shareholders, but they were investors' money and there was credit they had taken, and a lot of that money was not used for developing the core activity. So that is misgovernance of the corporate. You understand that? That is the challenge that you have. So you need proper corporate governance. Again, why? Because then only people can have faith in the corporate bodies and their activities that, okay, the money won't go down, and they will promote that happening. You write in the same thing, it was introduced in India through Companies Act 2013, with following rules. First, each company should have at least 5 independent directors. Each company should have at least 5 independent directors on its board of directors. You can write BOD for board of directors. On its board of directors. Now, who are these independent directors? Independent directors are people of expertise. They will not be the shareholders in the company, number one, and they should not be the workers of the company. ना ये कंपनी के वर्कर्स होंगे, ना ही कंपनी में शेयर होल्डर होंगे, लेकिन कंपनी इनको अपॉइंट करेगी फॉर द एक्सपर्टीज दैट दे हैव. दे कैन बी renowned business people, they can be economists, accountants, lawyers, and so on, and they will be appointed for the purpose of independent directorhood. Two benefits: one, they give their expertise to the company, and two, they are the ones who can call out any wrong decision of the board of directors. They're expected to do that. That अगर कोई गलत decision लिया जा रहा है board of director में, then the independent directors will call it out. That this is something wrong happening here, and I am not a party to it. Why would they do this? They are appointed by the company, they are paid by the company. Why would they do it? क्यों फिर वो बताएंगे दुनिया को कि यहाँ गलत चल रहा है? क्योंकि वो कंपनी के मेंबर नहीं है, कंपनी की प्रॉफिट से उनका कोई लेना देना नहीं है, और ये पर्सन ऑफ रेप्यूटेशन है. So reputations take 20-25 years to build, and I won't compromise my reputation as a good lawyer, good accountant, good economist, good business person, just because somebody in their board of directors is doing some wrong things to earn profit extraordinarily. That is what the general expectation is again. And that is why it is important to have independent board of directors in the company. There is one more clause that among these 5 independent directors, there should be at least one woman director. All right, that ये 5 independent director में एक होने चाहिए जो women director हो कम से कम. All right, then you write next, second point in this, the audited report of the company, should be submitted, audited report of the company should be submitted annually to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. To Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So remember, that's another thing that has to be done. Audited report का मतलब होता है reports with all the details of wages paid, details of contracts given, projects undertaken, everything in complete detail is verified in the audited report. So now it makes sure that the companies will realize that all their details are with MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So again, that can check wrongdoings a little bit. Third, you write, the company should have at least one board meeting in every quarter. Quarter is 3 months. In every quarter, all right, and one general body meeting. General body meeting means every shareholder can participate. So one general body meeting में सारे shareholders participate कर सकते हैं. So one general body meeting in 1 year. तो हर साल कम से कम एक annual general body meeting होनी चाहिए और एक board meeting होनी चाहिए हर 3 महीने में एक बार. Again, what is the purpose? Then the board members will have a say, the meeting reports will come out, and there will be more transparency in functioning of the company. And then you write one more. The names of all shareholders, who hold more than 2% share in a company, names of all shareholders who hold more than 2% shares in a company should be made public. ऑलराइट, जो शेयर होल्डर्स हैं, जो 2% से ज्यादा शेयर होल्ड करते हैं, public knowledge होना चाहिए, so that if I am holding 10% share in company A and I am holding 5% share in company B, then I may be on their board of directors, so everybody should know what is my interest area. It should not happen that I might look like a neutral, but I am having some large shareholdings in particular companies. All right, so that is again, these are some typical things put under corporate governance. Okay, there are two small things. You don't have to write explanations there. But apart from E, S, and G norms, two more things are needed for inclusive growth in a market economy. So you write fourth, establishment of regulatory bodies. Establishment of regulatory bodies. Regulatory bodies like SEBI or Insurance Regulatory Development Agency, IRDAI, or say RBI, all right, these are regulatory bodies, or Competition Commission of India, all right, so establishment of regulatory bodies. So if regulatory bodies are there, malpractices won't be there. All right, regulatory bodies होंगे तो कोई कुछ unfair practice करेंगे, the regulatory body can call them out. That is an unfair practice. All right, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India is another example. Then you write fifth point, developing ease of doing business. Developing ease of doing business to promote competition. Developing ease of doing business to promote competition. And therefore, better customer experience in the market. And therefore, better customer experience in the market. If you recall, when I was teaching you demand supply theories and all, I was telling you that if there is more competition in the market, there will be improved technology, there will be lesser cost of production and better payment to the workers and all. You know, if you have more competition. So that is the key factor that comes in here. Okay, now you just give a heading where we'll stop. I'm done with this topic now. I'm taking you into the next topic, just the heading today, and we'll begin with it tomorrow. You write India in planning period and thereafter. India in planning period and thereafter. So we will talk about India from 1947 till now when I start discussing this topic. Liberalization, privatization, everything will come in. But first we'll talk about India in planning period and thereafter. All right, so what happened in India from 47 and thereafter, which we will then discuss. So I'll see you tomorrow 8 o'clock then. Thanks a lot. I'll just take 1 second. In Kotak Bank issue, there was not corporate governance issue, Anand. There was more of an issue of lack of proper prudence in lending. Okay, people online, I see you tomorrow 8 o'clock then. Thank you. Yes, yes.